no mattresses or projection TVs. This is a great chance to do some spring cleaning while also helping a great cause with a tax-deductible donation. So donate what you can and plan to come to the event as well. Bridge of Hope's program helps to end and prevent homelessness for single mothers and their children. Donate your items today and join us Mother's Day weekend for the Bridge of Hope garage sale.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
It was a moment.
It was a moment that changed my life.
We looked down from the chopper and saw the whole area was flooded.
At that moment, it really hit me. This is why I joined the Guard.
People had gone up to the rooftops to escape the rising waters.
Talk about intense moments. We had to lower the guys on line some 30 feet down.
This is where teamwork and training really paid off.
It took steady nerves and steady hands for the chopper pilots to hover like that.
No question, Guard pilots are the best in the world.
I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life.
What could be better than serving the people of my hometown?
In the National Guard, you serve your community as well as your country while you work or attend college. In return, you gain skills in which you can build a career and receive benefits that can help you pay for college. Learn more about what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Colorado National Guard. Aired by the Colorado Broadcasters Association and this station.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She'll do a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is. Performance and image, that's what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
And welcome. It is Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, along with Dorsey Johnson today. Our number, 303-477-5600. Give us a call and we will get you right on air. Anything that you want to ask, we'll answer your question. And yeah, it's car day.
It's car day.
It's also, yeah. I heard today Cinco de Mayo, so does that have any car effect? Cruisers, yeah. Okay, so the cruisers, yeah. There's some car effect there. All right, I want to start off by thanking, first off, Ray and Ken, Ray Seidel, Ken Rackley, both for helping out a couple of weeks ago when I was on vacation, so I appreciate that. And then Dennis Dorsey and Isaac Bouchard jumped in last week and ran things, so thank you, all of you guys, for helping out. Dorsey, you especially, thanks a lot for filling in while I was gone. I appreciate you guys did a fantastic job, and I appreciate you doing that. It was nice to get away.
Had a good show.
Yeah, no, you guys did great. I listened to the podcast afterwards, and I will have to admit I wasn't listening during the show. I was doing some other things. So
surfing.
Last Saturday, what was I? I'm trying to think what I was doing last Saturday. We went on I think we did kayaking last Saturday. So we went on a little kayak trip last Saturday. So it's kind of fun.
Do some paddling.
Double kayak, wife and I. And the funny thing, we did this river trip. Paddled up, paddled back. And the funny thing about it was, we get there, and of course, we're probably, I don't say we were the two oldest people there, but we were the elders of the group. There was a lot of young kids there and so on. And I'm going to brag a little bit. My wife and I out paddled all of them. Piece of cake. It's not how hard you paddle. It's having the right rhythm and being together. Right. It's like riding a tandem bicycle. It's not necessarily the strength of the paddle. It's making sure that you're together, the oars in the water at the same time and all of that. And worked out really well. So we had a good time.
Cool.
So anyways, appreciate you guys taking care of us while we were gone and taking care of the show. And again, we'll answer your calls. Anything you guys want to talk about, 303-477-5600. Lines are open. Calls are coming in as we speak. Larry will get those queued up and we'll get you right on air, 303-477-5600. And since I've been out for a couple of weeks, let's see here. Dorsey, what did you get? Did you guys cover any getting ready for spring and what to do and some of that stuff last week?
Not really.
Okay, no. So I've got a full list of those things. If we get time today, we'll get to some of those things when it comes to just what you need to do to get ready for spring. Another quick note: you're going to notice today some commercials from K&N that are a little different. we're going to now start highlighting their new cabin air filters. So that's a new product that K&N has out. That means, again, you'll be able to take that filter out, wash it. It's got a different type of a oil and a cleaning solution kit that goes with that particular filter. So it's not the same as what you're going to use for your air filter. And Dorsey, you probably know why, because that has a little bit different smell to it that you're not going to want to have on the inside of the cab.
Smell.
Right. So it's all environmentally friendly. It'll be great for the inside of the cab. So it's a cabin air filter, K&N. You'll hear some commercials today for that. So please make sure you're paying attention. And you can find all that information out just by just Google K&N filters or go to our website, drive-radio.com. Click on the sponsor page. You'll see K&N right there. Just click on it and it'll take you right to their page. Let's go to Ed in Westminster. Ed, welcome. What's going on today?
Well, I got a problem.
Okay, well, we'll try to help you with the fix.
Okay, I've got a 2001 Mazda van, and I've lost both set of keys and a couple of days ago, and I'm going to search for it. If not, I may just have to have somebody reignition it or whatever's done. And the problem is my van is in the garage, and of course there's no steering. Turning of the wheels, of course, without the ignition.
Got it.
So, who could I go to, or could what do you advise here?
Well, you're going to have it towed first of all.
Okay. But okay, it's going to have to be towed. But that's my problem. I'm on a the van is in my garage. Of course, I'd have to push it all the way out to the street, and I can't turn the wheels because it's locked, right? Because ignition doesn't turn. So, but anyway, I'd have to have it towed. Is that it?
Right.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, the tow truck drivers can usually, get it out of gear,
maneuvering them around,
and get it so it'll roll
even if they need to get them out. As long is your garage height enough to where if they had to jack it up and roll it a little bit, can you still get out of the garage?
Well, I could probably push. Well, how much is it? In other words, if can I put it in neutral?
A lot of those, there's a way to get them into neutral, but I don't know if we usually have to look that up in our database and see what we do to release the parked gear.
Okay.
The tow truck drivers are usually pretty familiar with that, and then if they use a flatbed, they wouldn't have much trouble getting it loaded.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, do you have a number there I could give somebody a call whenever if I can't find my key there?
Yeah. In fact, you're in Westminster. You're closest to Larry. I'll tell you what, let me put you on hold. You can give them, give those guys a call. They can help you out. Let me put you back on hold. Larry, go ahead and grab that. Give him your address and kind of figure out what to do on that.
Yeah, sometimes those can be an issue because if you do have to go to the dealer to get a key, you've got to be the owner and show proof of ownership, all that, and take your registration, some ID, and have somebody take you down there and get a key, and then we'd have to program it and get the security system going.
Which leads you to the next suggestion is, and I suggest this to everybody, have an extra key someplace in the house where you just keep spare keys. I don't care if it's just an empty drawer someplace where you just throw all your spare keys. And I mean, I'm talking house key, car key, you name it. Even if it's not the key fob, you don't want to go out and spend all the expensive dollars on the extra key fob. At least having a key to get in and unlock it so you can at least maneuver the car around like we're talking about here. Even that would be a help in this particular case.
Right.
And I can't remember on that. That's probably not, that was a 2001. That's probably not a laser cut key. That's probably just a standard key.
It's probably a standard key.
So at least it'll be less expensive to actually take care of that. But again, those of you listening, get a spare key. And if you don't have a spare key, or even if you have two keys, so say you've got a key and your wife has a key, or you have the key and the husband has the key, or you have the key and the better half has, however you want to do it. Maybe it's you and the kids have a key. I would still get an extra key cut.
Yep.
Put that thing somewhere in the house. Now, if you're the only driver and you're the only one ever using the vehicle, you've got two keys, you can hide the other key someplace, great, so be it. But if it's a two-car type, two-driver car is what I'm trying to say, and each of you have a key, that's really not a spare key at that point.
Right.
Because you know what? What happens if both of those get lost one day in the same day? And I know the chances are high of that happening, but it can happen.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I've seen happen is one gets lost. Hey, let me borrow your key. Well, where is yours? Well, I don't know. I misplaced it. Okay, well, now you've got the one key left that just got loaned back out. And what happens if that key gets lost? Now you're back to where Ed just was.
Yeah.
So have that spare key, throw it inside the house someplace, and keep track of it. Maureen, you're up next.
Hi.
Hello, Maureen. How are you?
I'm fine, John. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for calling us today.
Well, you're welcome. I tell you, the man who lost the keys, he has my utmost sympathy.
Oh, mine too.
I locked mine in the car a few weeks ago, and it was the most awful sinking feeling. I left them in the coat pocket, and then it got hot, so I left the coat in the car, locked it up. Anyway, I was about 25 feet from the lock shop.
Oh, boy.
So he came right out.
Well, that's good.
Took about a half hour, got in there, cost me $15, and I was saved.
Good for you.
Yeah, so anyway, well, it wasn't so good for me. It was good of God to
yes.
let it. Now I keep keys pinned to my skirt band.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. And
anyway,
I've known people that can, and it's a little harder to do this nowadays with the newer keys that we've got, or the new type of key fobs and such. But I remember in the old days, my dad, he would always take and just with a piece of mechanics wire, someplace under the vehicle that was nobody knew about. He would take a piece of mechanics wire and an extra door key, not an ignition key, but just a door key, and he would hide that someplace in the car.
Put it in the wheel well.
Yeah, all over. He would do that, or I saw him hook it to. There's so many places underneath a vehicle you could wire a key to that, you don't have to go out. My point is, you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on a magnetic key box and all those different things. You can just go wire one anywhere you want and off you go.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as it's accessible, without having to open the hood, things like that you need to get inside the car for. So you've got to get it towards halfway accessible, which again, on later model cars is getting tougher and tougher to do. But, to your point, Maureen, you could, even if you had an extra one on you, that's not a bad idea either.
Well, I've just learned to do that. I do it religiously. I just keep them out on the counter. I put them on while I get dressed, and that's that for the day.
Yep.
Anyway, my question today is, what can I coat the threads of my gas cap with that won't start a fire? Because my gas cap has started to stick, and it sticks, so I can't even turn it, and I have to go in the filling station and ask somebody to come out and a man to come out and turn it for me, and I don't know what to put on. I'm afraid to put on anything because I might start a fire.
What year's your car?
Oh, it's that same 1991 Honda Accord.
Oh, gosh, you could put a little WD-40 on the cap. You could, you literally could even, the problem with petroleum products like Vaseline and things like that is eventually the gas will just take that away, and it will with the WD-40 also. But
what about silicone spray?
Yeah, that'd work.
It'd work, but again, the gasoline's going to take it off also. You need something that's similar to gasoline that's flammable because it won't deteriorate as quickly. And believe it or not, WD-40 is very flammable, so that's actually a product you could use, and it wouldn't bother anything. It's not going to start a fire or anything like that.
Okay, or what about just plain Vaseline?
Vaseline will work for a little while. The problem is it will also come off with the gasoline fairly quickly. Just the fumes of it alone will take some of that off.
Well, I'll just keep spraying it with WD-40 then, and we'll hope for the best.
Here's the other thing you need to check also, Maureen, and this is something you could do yourself, is make sure that the neck of the cap, in other words, the top of the neck of the gas, the gas neck itself, not the cap, but make sure it's good and smooth. And you could even take a kitchen sink Brillo pad. Just make sure it's not wet because you don't want any water down on the gas. But just make sure that the top of that's nice and smooth. There's no burrs or anything on it. And you could do that yourself also.
Yes. Okay. Well, those are great suggestions, and I've been wanting to ask you for a while. So thank you so very much.
You're very welcome, Maureen. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it very much. And those are the kind of calls that we'll take. Anything at all that you want to ask, that's what we're here for. Drive Radio 303-477-5600. I'm your host, John Rush, along with Dorsey Johnson. We're going to take a quick break. We'll get some more calls as soon as we come back. And then one thing we do want to cover today. One topic is there is a lobbying organization right now in Washington, D.C. that is trying to make a change to a already existing law, if you would, that would actually make it illegal for you yourself or us as shops, even myself as a fleet shop, to work on your own new car. We'll talk more about that as soon as we come back. Don't go away. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Men, when your wife has car trouble, you're the one she turns to. Since you're smart enough to know that you know nothing about car repair, you go to coloradoselect.org and find a nearby independent ASE certified master technician. You didn't know that Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair, but you do now, which makes you even smarter. Now her car runs like new, and you're the genius because you fixed it. Find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org.
Did you know your dealership warranty is not compromised by taking your vehicle to an independent auto care center for repairs and maintenance? The truth is, you're better off going to a local shop like Larry's Automotive, because at Larry's, they can take the time to get to know you and your car. That way, they can take your driving style into consideration. For instance, if you are constantly in heavy stop-and-go traffic at low gear riding your brakes, your needs are different from somebody who regularly drives long distance at highway speeds. Dealerships are required to follow specs that are based on averages and not your individual experience. Trust your car's maintenance to Larry's Automotive and you'll get the best service possible. And their 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty will keep your car on the road for as long as possible. Larry's Automotive is a member in good standing with Colorado Select and Napa Auto Care Centers. Due to construction in the area, please call Larry's Automotive at 303-427-2108 for directions and to set your scheduled maintenance appointment. 303-427-2108.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you,
Second Tim.
log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. Call us with any car question you've got, or if you want to comment on the topic I'm going to bring to you right now. And I typically would do this topic during the week, but I felt like this is an important enough topic to even share with you on the weekends. I'm also going to cover it again for an entire hour this coming week. But here's the title of this particular article that I found. It's in autoblog.com. It's Automakers to Gearheads, Stop Repairing Cars. Automakers are supporting provisions in copyright law that would prohibit home mechanics and car enthusiasts from repairing and modifying their own vehicles. In comments filed with the federal agency that will determine whether tinkering with a car constitutes a copyright violation, OEMs and their main lobbying organization say cars have become far too complex and dangerous for consumers and third parties to handle. Allowing them to continue to fix cars has become legally problematic, according to a written statement from the Auto Alliance, the main lobbying arm of the automakers. This dispute arises from a section of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that no one thought could apply to vehicles when it was signed into law in 1998. But in an era where cars are rolling with computer platforms, the U.S. Copyright Office is examining whether provisions of the law that protect intellectual property should prohibit people from modifying and tuning their own cars. Every 3 years, the office holds hearings on whether certain activities should be exempt from the DCMA Section 1201, which governs technological measures that protect copyright work. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, a nonprofit organization that advocates for individual rights in the digital world, has asked the office to ensure that enthusiasts can continue working on cars by providing exemptions that would give them the right to access necessary car components. Interested parties have until the end of the month to file comments on the proposed rule, and a final decision is expected by mid-year. I just put the link to where you can actually add your own comments onto our Facebook page. So go to facebook.com/Drive Radio. So in comments submitted so far, automakers have expressed concern that allowing outsiders to access electronic control units that run critical vehicle functions like steering, throttle inputs, and brakings leads to an imbalance by which the negative consequences far outweigh any suggested benefits, according to the Alliance of Global Automakers. In the worst cases, the organization set an exemption for enthusiasts leads to disastrous consequences, quote unquote. What are your thoughts on that? Should we be allowed to continue to work on your vehicle, and or if you're a techie, a gearhead, should you be allowed to work on your own vehicle? Or should it always go back to the dealer? 303-477-5600 is our phone number. This is a great topic because this will affect, if this continues down the path that it's headed, it will affect every one of you listening. Trust me. Whether it affects you today or it affects you 10 years down the road, it will have an effect on you. Thoughts, Dorsey?
Well, the things that they're talking about are things that when we repair them back to OE standards.
Correct.
Like an electronic throttle body. If that goes bad, when we put it on and we have to reprogram it, we have to use their software
to reprogram it.
And basically their approved hardware.
That's a great point. So right now, the way this works, all of you listening, the way this works currently is if we have to go in and reprogram something on the vehicle, do a flash update, for example, to make the transmission shift better, or to Dorsey's point, we have to reprogram something on the powertrain management side of the fence, the engine management side of the fence. All of that is done with approved devices from the manufacturer,
right,
with their software, and you have to log into their OEM website to get the program necessary to even load into the car.
And you have to pay for it.
And you pay for that, exactly, for all of that.
Right.
The equipment, the software,
right,
and so on.
Right.
So, none of this right now is really uncontrollable. Where it gets a little bit dicey and what they're really trying to shut out, and this is where you have to be really careful in what we allow to pass and not pass, is they want to keep the super chips of the world, for example, that build tuners so that you can actually tune your vehicle to work the way you want it to work, which, frankly, is done all the time, even on the dealership level.
Right.
They can go in and make different tuning modifications according to whether, Dorsey's got a Ford racing hat on that he wore in here today. So if you had a Mustang, you go into the dealership and you put a supercharger on, they're going to reprogram that computer to work with the supercharger.
Correct.
And that's what they want to avoid or they want to have that avoided in the aftermarket. They don't want us in the aftermarket to be able to do what I just said.
Right.
Plain and simple. They want to shut that end of it out. That's really where they're headed with us. Eric's got a comment. What's going on today, Eric?
Hey, guys. Seems to me that there is a conflict on this. This would almost conflict with Magnus and Moss.
Well, that's what we were talking about that, honestly, Eric, before the, during the break when we knew we were going to talk about this particular subject today. And yeah, it really is. And so what they're doing, though, is they're going to circumvent the Magnuson-Moss Act by going on the copyright side of the fence.
But one of the things that I was always told with Magnuson-Moss when the dealers fight you on this is that if the dealers are going to say, no, you must use OEM, then they have to provide the OEM for free.
That's correct. As far as the maintenance is concerned, that's correct.
Right. So that seems to me then that they're going to like you say, they're going to try and circumvent it by using this copyright.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to try to circumvent it by using a Software Copyright Act, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which I think, like I said earlier, was back in 1998 when that was actually passed. And this is a side note. That's why we always have to be careful when we add new laws to the books, because you never know what negative ramifications on down the road we're going to have. That's a side note, which is more of my weekly topic than it is today. But it affects us on the car world also. You can see that right now.
Yeah, definitely. And it would seem to me that a good patent attorney, or maybe maybe even a constitutional law attorney, could probably get that overturned, because that like I say, they're trying to circumvent a law that they're protecting the consumer by protecting the business, but the two.
Yeah, and to your point, Eric, the way I look at it is, you and I buy that car. The way I look at it is, it's mine now.
Yeah.
I own it. I should be able to do anything I want to with that. Whether it's a washer or dryer at home, or whether it's a new car that I just bought, I should be able to do anything I want with it.
I would think that the OEMs would have a leg, in my opinion anyway, the OEMs would have a leg to stand on if the vehicle was a lease or loaner or rental. But if I go into the dealer and I pay for that car, and it's titled in my name, no, then they wouldn't have a leg. They shouldn't.
And I would agree with that. In other words, if, especially a rental car, that one especially, if it's a rental, I mean, even the rental company is going to say, wait a minute, timeout. You can only do certain things with this particular car, and they do that already. A lease, that's a little grayer because you do have the option of buying that car out of the lease at the end. So it's a little bit different than a rent, but you're right. They do have a little more control there. An outright purchase, I don't see they have any rights to that at all.
Yeah, that's just, and the other part of it too is I could also picture another area, and you brought this up before the break there about fleet owner. Think of all the trucking companies out there that do their own self-maintenance.
Yep.
As it is now, you take a vehicle into the dealer like that for service, and an oil change might be a 2 day.
That's right.
Out sometimes.
That's right.
Just they got taken for everything.
That's right. Yeah. No. And you're on the same, you're on the same end of things that I am. I can't afford the downtime to take my vehicle into the dealer even for an oil change.
Yeah.
I just can't afford it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't afford the trip there, the trip back. Even if the oil change, which by the way, some of the new trucks I've bought are free, I can take them back in for free. It's not cost effective for me to even take the free oil change for the labor that it takes me to get the vehicle to and from the dealership.
All right.
Yeah, and the lost time for the
correct.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, right now, and I think I mean, like with my wife's car, I take it into the dealer for an oil change simply because what they charge me to do an oil change is about the same price that I pay to go and buy oil and filter and my labor. But the only difference is it's too much of a pain in the butt for me to change oil because I can't get to the drain plug without putting the car on a lift.
Got it.
And the car sits too low to the ground for me realistically to use my ramps.
Got it.
So I mean, for that, and unless they're going to take every car to that extreme to make it extremely, that difficult, I think this is just a dumb move on the part of the OEM.
I agree. I think it is too. So go to my Facebook page, fill those comments out. The more of us that actually make comments, the more of that helps.
Yep, I definitely will do that.
All right, Eric. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for the phone call. Lines open 303-477-5600 here on Drive Radio. Steve, you're welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, good morning, guys. I missed most of your show, but I found it a great topic to talk about. And I remember my dad told me he'd never buy a car he can't work on his own.
And that's getting harder and harder to do today.
Yeah, unless you buy there's some manufacturers out there that still comply. What I don't like, and I hope you bring that up, and maybe you did already, but I'd like to bring up the update for your car, and I'd like to talk about that too if you have the time.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Sure. Oh God, I don't want to lose my train of thought. There are some manufacturers that are doing that, where you could work on your car still. But companies like Volvo and Volkswagen, Audi, they're just right in that department of what you just said. You were just talking about.
Right.
You can't work on that car unless you drop the motor, and it's just insane. I'd say if you're going to update the car or something like that, add some kind of tablet with the car, and put it in the loan. And when you have to do updates on your car, you do updates on your car. Not a bad idea, right?
Well, in fact, they're getting to the point now, honestly. In fact, I don't know why they don't do this right now, because the technology exists today, Steve, to where literally they could 3G or LTE access the vehicle right now and actually do updates without ever even sending you into the dealership. That's doable today. I don't know why they won't do that.
That's scary. I mean, I heard on Yahoo News about a year ago that they can actually, or somebody can hack into your car remote.
I need to do a segment on that, because they can, but that's a big fear tactic on the part of the media. It is not as prevalent as some in the press would want you to believe. You have to have a lot of sophisticated equipment and really know what you're doing to be able to do what they claim can be done. And I will tell you right now, in all the years I've been in this, I have never heard of a single case of anybody that wasn't just trying to do it to prove they could. I've never heard of anybody doing it for any kind of a theft reason at all.
Okay. And you know what I'm totally against is the keyless, these new keys, these new electronic keys that you have to, deal with, where if they die out, or, is it another tracking device where they can track you and not know it's not fully disclosed that they can? What is the purpose for the push start? I mean, I like old technology too. I really think there's a purpose for it, and it has a reliability issue that may outweigh the new key entry stuff that they're putting in the new cars today. Do you agree with that?
Well, what I think is first of all, let me address the concern where the keyless fobs have some sort of tracking device in them. I don't think they do. There's too many people out there like ourselves, like even KLZ here, where, if somebody thought that were the case and they could prove it, believe you me, there would be a lawsuit, tomorrow if that were the case. So I don't believe that's the case. Now, when it comes to OnStar and a lot of the link systems that a lot of the different companies have now, and a lot of them have it. Toyota's got a system, Audi's got a system, BMW, Chrysler has it now. GM was first with OnStar, and everybody else has gone out and somewhat duplicated that. That one's a little different because they do have the ability to track every movement that you make. Now, whether you subscribe to that or not, they probably still have the ability to track you. What are they doing with that information? That's probably the bigger question. I don't know, and I don't have an answer for that.
Well, that's another good point. I mean, because privacy, there's a majority of people that just go for the technology rather than questioning their privacy.
Yep.
And is their privacy being invaded? And there's so much to look at when it comes to a lot of things. Like for one, people don't realize they're getting an ATM card, and the manufacturer, the people at the bank, they're not telling you that there's RFID chips.
That's right. They're tracking that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I know this is kind of like a different topic, but in the sense of technology, it's actually not. So, and then I heard that Michelin wants to put RFID chips in their tires if they haven't done it already.
I hadn't heard that. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know that.
Yeah, check that out and bring it up. If you could.
I will. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do more research over the weekend. I'm going to do this topic again, 4 o'clock, same station. So here, 4 o'clock Monday, I'm going to talk more about this. I'm going to get into more of kind of the details of things. So I would encourage you call in then if you can.
I have to say one more thing, that if you really want to work on your car, buy a smaller engine, sadly, where you can, most 4 cylinders, you can get in there and you can do your own oil change and tune up. And, it's not a lot, it's a lot harder to do with 6 cylinders.
Very good point. Steve, thanks so much for that. We got to take a quick break. We'll come right back. Mark and Greeley, hang tight. We'll be right with you. Dell's coming up right after that. One line open, 303-477-5600. We'll be right back on Drive Radio. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, KLZ 560.
We breathe dirty air every day, and believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto sees a need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ASE certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Men, when your wife has car trouble, you're the one she turns to. Since you're smart enough to know that you know nothing about car repair, you go to coloradoselect.org and find a nearby independent ASE certified master technician. You didn't know that Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair, but you do now, which makes you even smarter. Now her car runs like new, and you're the genius because you fixed it. Find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa.
Back in 5.
Stuff.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 561 line open. Dorsey Johnson's joined me today. Our number is 303-477-5600. And actually, on the other side of the glass, we have Charlie, our engineer today. And Larry Younger, of course, our producer, answering all your calls. Again, we have one line open, 303-477-5600. Call us with anything you'd like to talk about. Mark and Greeley, you're up next.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So I have 2 questions. One pertaining to the topic you guys are talking about as far as not being able to work on the vehicles.
Yeah.
Is the United States of America still a free country?
No. Sorry, that's my blunt answer. It's supposed to be, but we have stupidly, ignorantly given up a lot of the freedoms that we have because of I don't know why we have. That's a question I try to answer on the weekday show, in the evenings, 3 to 6 p.m. on Rush to Reason. I try to do my best to answer some of those questions. But, to your direct question, Mark, no, I don't think we are.
Well, that infuriates me. I feel like my service in the United States Marine Corps was a complete waste.
Well, and what I will tell you is, thank you for doing that. And I don't know that I can disagree with you at times when it comes to some of that, because I often wonder at times, what are we really fighting for? Are we fighting, for, our freedoms, or are we fighting so that some lobbying group like what we're talking about today can go in for the automakers and actually make it so that you and I can't work on our own vehicles?
Well, I'm not a fan of corporate America. Anyway, my second question is, I have a 99 Subaru Legacy. It's got the 2.5-liter engine, and I'm at the interval of needing a new timing belt, water pump, and valve adjustment. Now, I had planned on pulling the engine out, taking it to an engine shop that had rebuilt it in the past to do the work, but I was told by a shop here in town they could actually do the work with the engine in the car for less.
Yes.
But my question is how can I trust a shop, or any shop for that matter, to actually do the valve adjustment and not just do the timing belt, water pump, and take my money for the time?
In other words, how do you know you can find a shop that will just do the valve adjustment only?
Well, right.
Yeah, right. I've got a shop in Greeley that I can send you to. I don't want to talk about on air because they're not really a member of what we're doing. I'm trying to get them worked in, and what I will do is, I tell you what, send me an email.
Okay.
And, drive-radio.com, just get on there, send me, go to the contact page, send me an email. I'll give you the shop up in Greeley that can actually help you with it. And I know the owner, he'll more than willing to take care of you on the realm of what you're talking about. In other words, he'll do a valve. He'll do whatever you want to do, only, period. Honest guy, won't be a problem there at all. And I really want to get him to be involved in our radio show and with our Colorado Select group. So if you could put a little plug in for us on that, that would actually help us. So I'll give you his number off air if you just send me an email.
Sure. I've definitely tried to put that into a few mechanics' ears.
Perfect.
Here in town, but I've gotten the rebuttal that you guys charge for such a thing, and that it wouldn't be worth their money to actually be a part of that.
Well, there's no doubt that this program, we have to write a check to KLZ every month to be on air. KLZ doesn't pay us to do this show. So yes, they're correct. There's a cost to all, every commercial that you hear run, everybody that's involved in this, there's a cost to doing this show because we have to write a check to KLZ every month to do it. Charlie doesn't work for free. I'd love it if he did, but Mr. Crawford, the owner KLZ doesn't just give us the studio time for free. There's a cost to everything in life. That's just kind of the way things work. And so, yeah, we pay to put this show on. We do it as a service to you, and it's it's promotional for the sponsors that are here. There's no doubt about it. That's how radio works. But I think we do a pretty good job of making sure that you get your needs met at the same time promoting the good, solid shops that are out there. And honestly, I will tell you this, Mark, and you can tell them this for me straight on. It's the least amount of money they'll ever spend for advertising in their life of a business owner.
I'm sure. Yes.
It is not as expensive as they all think. I won't give the numbers over the air, but believe me, it doesn't cost them a lot. It does it, Dorsey? Is it the best money you'll ever spend?
Oh, yeah, it's probably about the only advertising that we do anymore. And it's a risk on our part. I mean, you may go a month and never see a customer come in, and if you do, you're still doing the public service end of it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So you're hearing from the horse's mouth, Mark, and you can pass that along to some of these technicians and shop owners that you're talking to. Is yes, there's a cost, but at the end of the day, you know what? And to Dorsey's point, what we get out of it and the way we help you, the public, it's well worth it anyways. We don't care.
Well, I appreciate you guys' show, and thank you for continuing fighting for our freedoms over there.
Thank you, Mark, very much. And thank you for your service to our country. We do appreciate it very much. And speaking of that, Dell's calling in. There's an event, I believe, tomorrow for the veterans. There's a big event that's going to be happening. So, Dell, talk about that.
Yeah, how you doing, John?
Doing great.
Okay, what we got is I ride with the Colorado Patriot Guard, and about a couple times a year, we have what's called the Northern Colorado Honor Flight. And what that is they take World War II, Korea, and Vietnam vets and their chaperones, and they charter a plane and take them out to D.C. for a week to go through their monuments and all of that. And we escort them from the embassy hotel at the Budweiser Center down to DIA for their plane, for their chartered plane. And we usually have, I would say close to a mile-long string of motorcycles coming down I-25 two abreast.
Very cool.
We do that. Larimer County Sheriff escorts us down.
Very cool.
And we usually have about 180 vets going. We'll have about 3 or 4 busloads.
Awesome. That is very cool. That is a great service that you're doing. And so big motorcycle ride. So how can people actually see that if they want to actually, give you guys a wave or a honk or whatever? How can they do that?
If they see us coming down I-25, give us a honk. If not, there's a lot of people that stand alongside the highway with banners and flags. And on the overpasses, a lot of your small towns will have their fire trucks out there with their firemen at attention, saluting vets. And there's all up and down. We go down I-25 to the E-470 and then out E-470 to Pena.
Very cool.
And down into DIA.
Very cool. Good stuff. Dell, man, we sure appreciate you guys doing that. Give all those guys, hats off from us at Drive Radio. We really appreciate the service that they've done for our country. And you guys that are doing this as a service to them, thank all of you also.
We tried to ride for the ones that can't. So,
yeah, awesome. Awesome. Dell, thanks so much for doing that. We really appreciate it.
You do. Have a good
All right,
one.
take care. That's a great event they're doing. So if you're up in that northern part of Colorado tomorrow, I would encourage you to stop in and actually wave, say hi, no matter what it is, you honk a horn, hold a banner, whatever you can do. We love our vets, at least I do. Back to Mark's point a moment ago, this country wouldn't be free if it wasn't for the men and women that gave their lives for it, and let's just hope we can keep it free. And as we talk more about this subject that I brought up a little bit ago about the automakers trying to shut you out of working on your own car, just as we go to break, before we do that, Dorsey brought up something a minute ago that really what this boils down to. They can cover this in the cloak of safety and emissions and all the other things that they want to. But the bottom line is they know that in a dealership, one of the most profitable tools they have is their repair shop.
Right.
Bottom line. Either when the car is in warranty, but especially when the car is out of warranty.
Right.
So if they can keep that vehicle in their shop for the life of that car, they know they can make more money. There's this old saying, follow the money. Guess what? I just showed you where the money flows from. That's what this really is all about, is they don't want you or us as, Colorado Select, Napa Auto Care Centers, they do not want us working on your vehicle, plain and simple. They want that going back into the dealership repair shop. And you know how I look at that? It's a free market. You should be able to take your vehicle anywhere you want to get it worked on. And that manufacturer should not lock you out of being able to have that freedom. That's my view on it.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, call and tell me so. 303-477-5600. Any other questions you've got? That's, we're here to talk about that. I just want to give you a little update on what's going on there, so you can go to our Facebook page, fill out the comments, and see if you can help defeat that. But any other questions you've got, getting ready for spring, maybe you've already been on spring break, you're getting ready for summer. One thing we haven't talked much about yet either is getting that RV, the trailer, some of those things out of the shop, the garage, the work shed, the backyard, the storage unit, wherever you store those items. We'll talk about some of that stuff also today. So give us a call, 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Extreme Auto, we're committed to providing the highest level of service possible to our customers. Our highly trained technicians are ASE certified and are dedicated to providing you with world-class service. We have years of experience working on both domestic and import vehicles of all makes and models, and will work with you to find cost-effective repair and maintenance alternatives. We don't have hidden fees, and we don't do unnecessary repairs. Serving Parker and the surrounding areas, come and see us, the professionals at Extreme Auto, and rest easy knowing you'll get quality work done for a fair price. Our promise to you: extreme service, extreme value, extreme satisfaction. Call us to schedule your appointment today.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at genosautoservice.com. That's genosautoservice.com.
This is Red Merrill for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coating, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operated right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today, 720-340-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sportsman of Colorado and receive 10% off your custom-built weapon.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-align belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff: Napa Auto Parts.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio. KLZ 560. Dorsey Johnson is also with us. We have one line open. It's all 303-477-5600. As I move into the 11 o'clock hour, we've got actually some new shops also that have joined our Colorado Select Drive Radio family. So we'll talk about those guys at 11 o'clock, introduce them for you. And we've actually got a new shop in Boulder that I mentioned earlier that's been with us for about a month now, Keeter's Truck Repair. They do full-service car, diesels, medium-duty trucks, heavy-duty trucks, anything along those lines at all. They're up on 6379 Valmont Road. Their phone number is 303-442 2131. Go up and see those guys. They're fantastic individuals. They've taken over that Boulder area for us, so feel free to stop in and say hi. A good bunch of guys there at Keeters. Let's go to Wayne and Greeley, who's up next. Wayne, welcome.
Hey, John, nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, Wayne.
I wanted to get in on this thing. I just bought a 2015 Colorado and just got delivery of it the other day.
Got it.
And it has no radiator cap, and it's automatic. It's got the 6-speed automatic in it, and there's no way of checking that automatic for me. There's no dipstick.
All right.
So it must be the owner's manual leads you to believe it's so complicated to get under it and check it that a mechanic has to do that. So that's what they're aiming at, and
it is.
And now on Chevrolet they give you 2 years or 24,000 or whatever it is. Yeah, 2 years, 24,000 miles. They'll they'll change your oil for you. And and also, it's one of the first vehicles I ever bought that I couldn't find the oil filter. The oil filter's in a little canister, aluminum canister up beside the engine now in this V6.
Yeah. They're going back to the disposable cartridges.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know why.
You can't use. Probably K&N won't come out with one of those for another 30 years. So
now you'd be surprised. They're like, you'd be surprised on that one. They'll have that one pretty fast.
They should.
Yeah.
Well, I wish they'd get my air filter because I've been calling them every day and they don't have any air filters.
And that's on the Colorado. Is that what you're calling them on?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let me see what I can do for you on
that
that
one. I
one
thought maybe you might put use a little nudge there. And see
I will. And you've got the V6 in yours, Wayne?
What's that?
You have the V6 in yours?
Yeah, it's a V6 2015.
I'll ask Rich about that.
That'd be nice. Anyways, sure nice talking to you guys.
Likewise, Wayne. Thank you for all your support.
I'm glad you had a nice vacation.
I did. Thank you very much, Wayne. Sure appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Let's go to Mark and Littleton, who's up next. Mark, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, I have my wife's car is a 2009 Infiniti, and it was surging, and we brought it to the dealership. It's under warranty, and they're telling me that there's transmission fluid in the radiator.
Okay.
Does that sound right? I mean,
could be the transmission cooler is integrated into the radiator, into the engine cooler, if you would, and they've been that way now for years and years and years. And if something goes bad on one side or the other, yes, you could have some transmission fluid leak into the coolant itself.
So it's a sealed unit, just like
which means it basically needs a radiator.
So does that mean that that I lost my transmission fluid, if that's the case?
Well, you've probably lost some transmission fluid. You probably haven't lost it all, but you've lost some because whatever's, what happens is the transmission fluid is under a lot more pressure than your cooling system is.
Right.
So that's why it doesn't work the opposite. It's how do you describe this? It'd be like taking something that's pressurized with oil, for example, sticking it underwater, in a big tub, sticking it underwater, the pressure of what's in that device is going to leak out into the water not leaking into the device that's pressurized. That's the way the tranny cooler works inside the radiator.
Okay.
So you've probably got a pinhole or something along those lines in the cooler itself that's leaking transmission fluid out into the coolant. Basically, what you need is a radiator.
Okay. So how would that be a surging issue if
transmission gets low on fluid?
Yep.
Okay, so does that mean that my transmission could be in jeopardy since it ran low on fluid?
If it ran really low, it could be. If it's just gotten that way recently, I doubt if you've damaged it.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, the first things first, you've got to put a radiator in it no matter what. Even if you do a transmission, you've got to have a radiator first. So I would put a radiator in it first.
Flush it out.
Get the cooling system all flushed out. I would flush the transmission also since it's in this condition. I would then see how the transmission shifts once everything is back up to speed.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for the information.
You're very welcome. And Mark, we've got some shops in Littleton that can actually help you with that. Go to our website, drive-radio.com, and you can find one of them there. It's easy for you to do. All of our sponsors are listed there. Tell you what, we'll take some more calls. 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. We've got about, 7 minutes left of this particular hour. Then we'll head into hour number 2. And we just had an engineering change. So Charlie's leaving. Terrence just joined us. Charlie actually has just stepped in this morning for a little bit while Terrence had something else to do. So Terrence, man, good morning. Glad you're here with us. You can talk. We got no calls.
Hey,
you can talk.
Hey, I'm not used to this. I'm new here.
You're new. You're not new here. Terrence is not new. He's a familiar face around KLZ. So we appreciate Terrence filling in for us. And we've got a new person that's been training. Matt, as you know, was our engineer for years and years. And Matt took another job, went a different direction, which, hats off to Matt. Appreciate him and all the work that he did for us over all the years. Terrence is taking over for us. We've got a new trainee. Aaron is his name. He will be with Drive Radio here in the very, very near future, probably even next Saturday, I would guess. I think we'll have him pretty much up to speed, and then we'll just train him on Drive Radio here over the next few weeks. So that's how it works. It's not my first rodeo with training you guys, is it, Terrence?
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, we'll take some calls, 303-477-5600. We did not throw out a question of the day, so we should probably think of one of those at the 11 o'clock hour. I had so much on my plate today to talk about, I didn't throw out a question of the day. One thing that I do have for you, just as kind of fun, is there was an article, and I hadn't gotten a chance to get to it before I went on vacation. I don't think the guys covered it while I was gone. It's the top 10 muscle cars of the 60s and 70s. Now, as I go through that list, you all may find that there's other things that you think should be on the list, and we can talk about that as we go through the show. But let me give you a couple of these while we have a couple of minutes here. So the top 10 muscle cars of the 60s and 70s, and I hope this isn't all a stupid video, which I think it is, which is going to make it harder for me to actually do this because I've got to turn my sound off, otherwise you're going to hear it through the speakers. But the top 10 muscle cars of the 60s and 70s. And maybe what we ought to do is maybe we should actually get some guesses on this, and I could actually watch this through one of the breaks and find out which ones are actually the answers, because I can already tell you from looking that most people probably aren't going to be shocked, because the first one that came up is the 69 Camaro Z28. So that's number one. Now, these aren't in any particular order, by the way. It's just the way I'm watching the video. They didn't put them in any particular order. So, in fact, the Z28 might be number 10. It could be number 1. I don't know. I'm not listening to the audio. But tell you what, let's do this. Call me with what I don't want 10. Give me 1 or 2 of your top 10 that you would have picked as a muscle car in the 60s and 70s. So all of us have our favorites. Wayne and Greeley has several because he owned a bunch of them. So I could have picked on him a minute ago, but give me your thoughts. What are your favorite muscle cars, top 10 muscle cars of the 60s and 70s? 303-477-5600. And then, of course, anything else that you've got, any questions, comments. I know it's Cinco de Mayo. There's a bunch of people running around town all over the place, and, you're out and about. And Charlie was talking about how it took him longer to get to the studio today or the station today because of the traffic and all of that in downtown Denver. And I have no idea how many different events are actually going on today because I just haven't followed it that much here recently. So I don't know. Larry's in there thinking he doesn't know how many there is either, but there'll be several going on today. So here's the other thing. There'll be parades. There'll be different things happening and so on. Be safe. Pay attention. Those of you that are driving especially, watch for pedestrians. Pedestrians do goofy things. Sorry. They just do. They expect everybody that's approaching a crosswalk to stop. Well, you know what? Not everybody does. Sorry, not everybody does. I was just just on vacation. We did a bunch of walking on vacation. And the funny thing there was where we were at, the locals, they all stopped at the crosswalks. No problem. You step into the crosswalk, locals stop. No problem. The tourists, on the other hand, fat chance. Those guys were not stopping if their life depended on it.
Yeah, most of them are probably from the East Coast.
And some can be from areas where there's not as heavy of laws as there are in other areas for actually stopping in the crosswalk. So be careful.
If you're in Oregon, if you're a pedestrian and you step off the curb and hold your hand up, and it's in the city of Portland, put your hand up. Cars got to stop, or
even if there's no crosswalk.
Even if there's no crosswalk.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started that about 3 or 4 years ago.
That would be so. Boy, you better be on your toes.
I was going down the street, and this lady comes off the curb and puts her arm up in the air, and I go on by, and she flips me off.
You got the bird.
Some older lady.
The one finger salute, Dorsey got.
My mother-in-law says, "You got to stop." I'm like, "Why?" Well, they raised their hand. Well, that's stupid.
I thought they were asking a question. All right. Anything at all you want to talk about, we'll cover it. Doesn't matter. 303-477-5600. We just enjoy having fun, as you can see. So give us a call. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. We got lots to talk about throughout the rest of the show. We'll give you some tips. And again, if you're getting ready to take the RV out for the inaugural Memorial Day weekend trip, which is typically what happens here this time of the year, we'll give you some tips on that, because Dorsey, you had one this last week. You had to put several batteries in, correct?
Parts and labor, it was $1,800.
And how many batteries did you have to install?
6.
6 batteries. All bad at the same time.
Yeah, they weren't plugged in all winter, and it hadn't been driven for a year. And the golf cart batteries, which are the 6 volts that you wire in series,
right?
They've got so much acid in them, they all leaked, and
oh boy,
had an acid bomb mess.
Oh boy. So if you're just now getting the RV out, number one, it's a good idea to to keep your RV on either a battery tender or pull the batteries out, bring them inside. But if you didn't do that and you're going to go get it out of storage, we'll give you some tips when we come back on some ways to actually make that a little easier and try to help you out a little bit as you get ready for the spring. So call us. Lines are open. We'll get you right on air for hour number 2. 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, along with Larry Unger and now Terrence, who's on the other side of the glass. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go away. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560. Bathroom time.
I don't mind you coming here, wasting all my time. 'Cause when you're standing oh so near, I kinda lose my mind. It's not the perfume that you wear, it's not the ribbons in your hair. I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business. So Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. Join me every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. for Sportsmen of Colorado. We offer a variety of hunting and fishing experts, outfitters, guns and ammo, and archery specialists. We'll also keep you informed of techniques, products, gear, and conservation news. That's Sportsmen of Colorado, Saturdays, 1 to 2 p.m., right here on KLZ 560.
This is Kim Evans with Lawford Solutions. Join me and Scott Watley every Saturday from 4 to 4:30 p.m. for information pertaining to seniors and their families on Seniors on the Move Radio, KLZ 560.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Brad James. 6 cops in Baltimore charged in the death of Freddie Gray, all 6 posting bail, and now Hollywood is weighing in.
Here's a well-known, one of the greatest actors in my lifetime, talking about police officers who literally lay down their lives for people and calling them terrorists.
That's Tim Clementi, a counterterrorism expert and former FBI agent, with reaction to actor Morgan Freeman saying he supports the protest in Baltimore. Freeman saying the riots there show that terrorism blacks suffer at the hands of police.
And he's trying to say that it's the racism of white cops against black people. Well, as we've seen in Baltimore yesterday with the charges that were brought against the police officers. It's a black officer that's charged with the most serious second-degree murder charge. So this has nothing to do with race, other than the fact that people are trying to make it a racial issue.
Clemente on Fox and Friends, a massive rally planned for Baltimore today with thousands expected to attend. Another potential GOP candidate for the presidency saying he's close to making a decision. The Blaze Radio's Chris Vermillion with more.
We're in the process of making this decision. But as you know, I've been traveling, meeting people and doing the things that you need to do to make this decision the right way.
New Jersey's Republican Governor Chris Christie talking about his possible run for the White House in 2016 with Fox News' Brett Baer on Special Report. Baer asking Christie if he'll have to tone down his signature bluntness should he choose to run.
We'll sit down and shut up, work in Iowa or Ohio, or
if it's appropriate, it works. In the end, I think that people have come to notice me over the last 6 years in this country because I speak directly.
Christie says his decision will likely come sometime in June. Chris Vermillion, The Blaze News.
Perfect weather for the fastest 2 minutes in sports this afternoon. It's the 141st running of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. This is news on the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 Denver.
Freedom 560 with Ken Clark. Now at a new time, 1 to 3 p.m. on KLZ 560.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. It's a quarter of a mile.
Why don't you have any clips from Talladega Nights and you're open? Huh? Oh.
There's no such thing as a stupid.
All right. Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you last. Yeah.
Call away.
All right.
575600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
And I am John Rush, your host, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, along with Dorsey Johnson. Just responded to an email that came in, Doris, asking us some things. So we'll take your calls. Anything you want to talk about, 303-477-5600. If it's Sunday afternoon, which I know a lot of you listen on Sundays, you can't call us because we're not here in studio. We're recording, doing a show live on Saturday that's recorded and then played again on Sunday. So if you're listening on Sunday, don't call us, but send me an email. You're more than welcome to do that. It's drive-radio.com is the website. Just go there, click on the contact us, fill it out. It'll go right to me. I'll get it right away. I can typically respond to those for you on a Sunday afternoon or evening. And during the show, if you want to email us directly and actually ask your question without having to call in, feel free to do so. It's John, John, at drive-radio.com. It comes right to my computer, pops up on the screen, and I can answer it right off the bat. So if you'd like to do that during the show, feel free to do so. 303-477-5600. So we were talking in the last segment, last hour, several different things. One of them was, what is your favorite muscle car of the 60s and 70s? So if you want to answer that, call us right now, 303-477-5600. What's your favorite muscle car of the 60s and 70s? I also had a little trivia for today that we could possibly get to. And then we also talked in the last hour about how there's a movement in Washington going on right now, lobbying. Car makers are basically lobbying to basically make it to where you can't work on your own vehicle. I would encourage you, especially those of you that listen on Sunday, go back, listen to our podcast of the first hour of Drive Radio of today, and you can listen in on that. I'm going to talk more about that at 4 o'clock on Monday on Rush to Reason. We're going to do a whole hour on that. I've got a couple of shop owners that are going to call in, and we'll just talk about that and what that means to them and how that will change, if that were to pass, what that would mean for them and their businesses. It would change the makeup of the entire auto industry if that passes, or if that gets enacted is what I should say. It's not really a pass. It'll be a decision that's made by a non-legislative board. So it's not even the legislature that you're having to call. This is just something that if they can get, certain individuals to agree with them and they make a change, it will change everything. So we want to do our best to not have that happen. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Drive Radio, and find out more about it there. So I also need to mention some of our sponsors. I didn't do this during the first hour because we were busy doing other things. If you need a car, new car, used car, Charlie, actually, our engineer, is thinking about buying a car, and he's going to start driving again, which he hasn't done for a very long time. Isaac Bouchard is our local broker. He will help you with anything you need. 303-475-1462. Isaac's a great guy. He knows the car industry upside down, right side up, back, backwards, forwards, you name it. He knows it. He knows vehicles. He knows what works. He knows even though he's not a technician, he understands even the repair sides of the fence on vehicles as they get older.
Mm-hmm.
He's very knowledgeable on that. I would call him if you need anything. 303-475-1462. Once you buy the car, it needs insurance. Call Paul Leuenberger. He's our insurance guy. 303-619-9891. Paul can save you money on homeowners, on your auto, and American National Insurance is who he works for. They've got a program where if you go so many consecutive years without a claim, I think it's 3, Dorsey, you get a big rebate. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
It is well worth it. He saved me 40 to 45% on my homeowners when I switched to Paul. 45%. That's a lot, guys. It's almost half of what my homeowners got cut in half, and I have better insurance today. So if you haven't called him on insurance, you need to. He will save you money, and the service is fantastic. 303-619-9891. So what is your favorite muscle car of the 60s and 70s? So let's just start off. Go ahead, Terrence. What is it?
The General Lee.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was my first introduction as a child to a muscle car.
Which was basically 70?
69.
69.
Okay. With all the stars and stripes on it.
Challenger with all the stars, stripes, everything. Or Charger, sorry. Charger with all the stars, stripes, a whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
One of my customers bought one of those from the guys that were on the show. They still have several of them.
Really?
Yeah, he had it out here at one of the Denver auto shows.
I didn't know. Really? So what's that car worth? A lot, I would assume.
I don't know. He sold it now. He had it for a few years, and he brought it in, and I got to work on it for a while. It's a pretty cool car.
Interesting.
They had built several of those cars for the show, and he bought one of the actual show cars.
Because they destroyed several during that series, I think, also.
Yeah. They had spares laying around.
Speaking of that, there's a YouTube video that I put up on our Facebook page on Drive Radio last week. I actually was watching it while I was on vacation. It was actually a great video, and it's basically, I can't remember the name of the guys that did the video. I'll think of it in just a second here. It's what is the name of those guys? Something Dirt. It's not Motor Trend. It's the opposite of Motor Trend. In other words, they take every car they can, and they just go out and they just trash these cars, literally. So they took 2 Hellcats and an SRT8 Viper. So they took a Hellcat Charger, Hellcat Challenger, and an SRT8 Viper, and just tore these cars up. And here's the reason when it was all said and done. They're like, a lot of you are looking at this thinking, why are you tearing up such nice cars? And they're like, it's kind of like back in the days of the General Lee. When they built a lot of those cars, you could tear a lot of them up. It wasn't any big deal. Well, guess what? Today's the same way. Chrysler will build more. We're going to tear these up, show you what they'll do. No big deal. And I'm thinking, it's a big deal to me. You can go back and look at our Facebook page and actually watch. That's actually a pretty good video, and it's on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Drive Radio. Also, one thing I don't mention near enough, new car reviews. I was talking about Isaac Bouchard. We do a ton of new car reviews also. You can watch all of them on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Drive Radio, all one word, no space, no dash, no nothing. You can also go to the search bar of YouTube. Just type in Drive Radio. We have 250 plus videos of everything from new cars to, interviews we've done with different individuals, to stuff at the Denver Auto Show, to K&N. We did a tour of the entire plant. Universal Oil, which is where a lot of us buy our oil from, went through their entire refining plant on how they actually make oil. All of that is on our YouTube channel. I would encourage you, go there, check it out, watch our videos, subscribe to us if you would. And most of all, like our videos. That really helps us a lot when you do that. And you know what? If you want us to change something or you want to see something else that we don't do when it comes to those videos, just send us an email. Tell us what you like or don't like. And you know what? We'll take it from there. So 303-477-5600 is our number. Patrick, you're up first. What's going on in this hour?
Oh, working, man, hauling some dirt.
All right, man. Good for you. That's a good thing, actually. That means that something's working, and that means anytime dirt's moving, that means the economy's doing better.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I called in to get Paul's number. I'm under contract for a house, and I've got 2 beds, and I'd like a third on that.
Awesome. Well, he can definitely save you money. His number is 303-619-9891, and he's also on our website, drive-radio.com.
Well, yeah, I listen every Saturday when I'm working and that, and so I see you're back on the favorite cars. Well, mine is a 70 Roadrunner with a 440 and tri-power and a 4-speed.
70 Roadrunner, tri-power, 4-speed.
Yep, Dad had one. I was 10 years old. I love that car.
Wow. Yeah, and if we'd all had a little bit of brains and we'd have kept or bought and kept those cars back then, it'd be a different world today.
Boy, howdy, wouldn't it be?
Yep. Hindsight's 2020.
Oh, it always is. But yeah, I love that car. Yellow with the black stripes.
Awesome. Good for you.
That was one of their favorite colors.
Yeah.
Yellow with the black stripes.
Yeah, that was a good looking car, actually.
Had the little Roadrunner guy.
That was a really good looking car. That's one of my favorites too. I like that car a lot.
Yeah, Dad used to let me. He used to drag race it on the street, and he used to let me shift. And he'd race the other guys. Well, how do we know the kid shift? He's gonna put somebody in the back seat. I think it pull a stump out of the ground.
Oh yeah, those are great cars. That's awesome. Yep. Good for you.
All right.
Hey, Patrick.
Enjoy the show, and also I enjoy it during the week.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate you listening. Have a great afternoon. Be safe on the roads. And yep, if Patrick's moving dirt, that means the economy's rolling. And as much as a lot of you out there don't like seeing big trucks, cement mixers, and so on, well, you know what? That's a good sign for our economy in Colorado when those things are moving around. So those are actually good things when you see that. So I had a guy tell me years ago, when you don't see dump trucks, gravel trucks, or cement mixers running on the road, the economy's not doing very well. And he's right, because that means dirt's not moving. And if dirt's not moving, the economy's not going to be doing very well. So that's a little side note for those of you out there that may not like to see those big trucks on the road. They are actually a good thing for the economy when that's happening. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Anything else you want to add to the 10 muscle cars of the 60s and 70s, the top 10? We'll talk about that. And I've got some other things to talk about also, so don't go away. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, we'll take your calls, 303-477-5600. We've got lines open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
We breathe dirty air every day, and believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
Men, when your wife has car trouble, you're the one she turns to. Since you're smart enough to know that you know nothing about car repair, you go to coloradoselect.org and find a nearby independent ASE certified master technician. You didn't know that Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair, but you do now, which makes you even smarter. Now her car runs like new, and you're the genius because you fixed it. Find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org.
John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, Dorsey Johnson. And lines are full. As soon as somebody drops off, call us. We'll get you right on air, 303-477-5600. Eric is up first. What's going on today, Eric?
Hey, any 70s Cuda with a V8.
Yeah, good cars.
Obviously, the 71 Hemi was
the
pretty
Hemi
awesome.
and the Hemi cars, of course, today, as you know, are just worth an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
I had a 72 and a 74 small block. And because the Cuda doesn't handle very well, all that big horsepower was a problem.
Right.
But with the small block, it was an easy-to-drive, fun car.
Right. Yeah, the funny thing about that was, even though the Hemi cars are the most popular today, they were not actually some of the fastest and most fun cars to drive back in the day. Am I right in saying that? I wasn't a Chrysler guy, but am I right in saying that?
Oh, yeah, my 340 would fly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it was a misconception that the Hemi cars were actually the fastest. When they were all built up and ready to go in drag racing, yeah, they may have been, but just on an average daily basis, I'm not sure they were. Some of the 440 cars even were as fast as the Hemi cars.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
reliable, too.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, the reliability factor, I will say this, the reliability factor of today, for example, you go out and buy a new Hellcat at 707 horsepower, the reliability of that car versus a 70 CUDA, probably not one and the same.
Good point.
But you know what? That's what technology and time does. And and that's not to take anything away from those old cars. There's still something about driving that old car that's just nostalgic and different about driving a new car.
Torque.
Yep. Makes a lot of fun. Man, Eric, thanks a lot. Appreciate the phone call very much. Let's go to Alex, who is up next. Alex, welcome to Drive Radio. One line open, 303-477-5600. What's going on, Alex?
I've got a 2005 Jeep Wrangler, and when I'm driving around town, I can drive around, stop and go traffic, and I don't have any oil pressure problems. When I hit the freeway and then hit a stoplight, my oil pressure drops down to and you hear the chime. And
right.
Then,
what engine's in your Wrangler, by the way, Alex?
Inline 6.
So it's the 4-liter inline 6.
Yeah.
What oil are you running in it by chance?
Mobile 1040.
Okay, so you're running 1040 Mobile 1 or just Mobile 1040?
Mobile 1.
Okay, so you're running Mobile 1 1040.
Yes.
And that's not a bad oil, but what that vehicle needs, and this may or may not change your oil pressure, but it really should be running what we call a diesel oil because it's got a flat tappet camshaft in it. So really should be running like a 1540 weight diesel oil, and it'll be a little heavier than the 1040 that you're running now. And it may actually help with that oil. It probably will help with your oil pressure, and it's actually a better oil to use for your engine than what you're currently using now.
Okay. Do you think that is there anything on the, is the oil pump directly underneath what used to be the distributor? Some electrical.
It's right where on that particular vehicle is right down by where the oil filter is.
Sweet. Okay.
I mean, it's in the pan, but to your point, yes, it's driven off of the distributor.
Okay, and then can I pop that pump out after I drop the pan down?
Yes. And on that one, it's not too bad to do because you've got room with the Wrangler to actually pull the pan down pretty easily.
They're actually fairly
as long as you jack the frame up and not the axle, so that the axle droops, it gives you more room to get the pan out over the top of the front axle.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense in what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before you go tearing into the oil pump, I do a manual pressure test on it. Make sure you don't have a bad gauge or sender.
The other thing on those, which is also critical to Dorsey's point, what oil filter are you using?
Yeah.
The Napa Gold.
Perfect.
The Wix.
Okay, perfect. That's good. Yep. That would be the one to use. And the reason I ask is some filters can actually affect oil pressure on that particular engine. That's why I asked.
Okay. Excellent.
You're on the right track.
Okay. Well, excellent. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Alex. Thanks for calling in. Great phone call. I appreciate that very much. One line open, 303-477-5600. Stuart, you're up next on Drive Radio. What's going on? Hello, Stuart.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great, sir. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah, I've called you before about this car, but my favorite car is a 69 AMX with a 390 4-speed.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really rare, too,
and
now.
I still got it, and I could get a little bit of rubber in all four gears, as they say.
What engine's in your car?
The 390.
So it's a 390, okay.
And I had the Hurst shifter on it.
Yeah.
So, and then I had a 373, I think, rear end in it with posi. So
what color is your car? I can't remember.
it's what they called bittersweet orange at the time with the two black racing stripes.
I think 90% of those were orange, weren't they?
Orange or purple, I think, weren't they?
There were some red ones.
There were some red ones and some white ones, actually, I've seen.
Yeah, and a blue. They had a funky green.
Yes, they did. So how many miles is on your car?
About 78,000.
That's not bad. So
I've had it originally. Probably had the third one in Denver. I bought it off old Bob Bundy over here on Broadway.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy in Littleton down here that Ernie Popovich. He has AMX. He's was a big guy in the old AMC clubs.
Got it.
And but yeah, and then another nice car is a '66 Chevelle 396.
Yes, very nice car. So back to your car. Is it all original paint and everything, or have you done anything to it?
Well, I had it all redone, and then I had the valves replaced when they went from leaded to unleaded.
Got it.
And the tranny rebuilt, and had that done. And let's see, got Edelbrock heads on it, which are original.
Got it.
At the time, I could have ordered Doug's headers on it and leather interior and air conditioning, but back in those days, every little item like that cost a little more of your paycheck.
That's exactly right. Yep.
When you made $250, $275 an hour.
Yep.
It took you a long time.
That's right.
I paid $3,200 for the car, brand new.
That was a lot of money back then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People today think that wasn't that much. Yeah, back then, $3,200 was about probably $1,000 more than you could have paid for any other car like it.
Yeah, it probably was. I came back from Michigan one time. I left Grand Rapids at about 11:30 a.m. and arrived in Denver on my parents' drive at 2:30 in the morning, and that was before there's interstate.
Wow.
So it rock and rolled down the road. It liked to eat, though. I mean, you could watch the gas needle just go down like you open a sieve.
Yep.
And 4-barrel carburetors, anyway.
Very, very cool. It's really cool that you still own that car. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all been repainted and everything. I had it, they sandblocked it 6 times, and
awesome.
It's showroom fresh.
It's actually probably got better paint on it today than it did in '69.
Yeah, probably. And I got the original rally wheels. I bought them off a guy at Greeley and then had them all redone.
Very cool.
And got all original trim. I found original trim yet in some parts warehouse when they were moving Bob Bundy out or something. We got some parts.
Very cool.
Like that. Still in the box.
Very cool. That's awesome. Good story, Stuart. That's awesome. Good for you.
All right, man.
Hey, good talking to you. Thanks so much. That's a great story. Appreciate that very much. Line's open, 303-477-5600. Your favorite car muscle car from the 60s and 70s, or any question you've got. Doesn't matter. We'll take anything you want to talk about. 303-477-5600. A couple lines open. Randy's up next. What's going on, Randy?
You know, I had totally forgotten about those AMXs. Those were hot back then.
They really were. They were actually a pretty, kind of a sleeper of a car, if you would, because they were a lot faster than most people gave them credit for.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to buy one when I was 16 years old, and my dad said no.
Wow, really? Because of it being an AMC or what?
Well, no, because it was because
it was too fast.
It was just a hot rod. He said no way. He said you ain't buying that. But no, those were great. And one of my favorites, I never owned one, but kids I went to high school with, they'd have the big block 454 Chevys.
Yes.
Man, those things would just sit there and shake.
Yeah, I had a Camaro back in the day, a big block Camaro, but I actually got a chance to, a good friend of mine had a 70 Chevelle LS6 4-speed, and I tell you what, that car just, bone stock with really nothing done to it, was one of the fastest stock cars I think I've ever driven. The thing just flew.
And something that most people have totally forgotten about, in fact, it was just on the internet the other day, is one of the all-time ugliest cars. Back in the early 70s, and I think they only made them for a couple years, but the little AMC Gremlin came with a big V8.
401. It had a 401 in them.
Yeah. And if you can imagine that little tiny car with that huge
they flew.
engine.
I had a friend that owned one of those also, and it was it was funny. That was a sleeper kind of a car because you could take that car out on a Friday night and pull up next to somebody in a Camaro or a Chevelle or something, as long as it wasn't a big block kind of a car. I mean, and that little Gremlin would hold its own all night long.
Well, I had a 74 with a 304 in it, and that thing would move pretty good.
Yep.
But that 401, I can only imagine what that was
They
like.
were just so ugly, though.
They were ugly.
But hey, they had their time in the sun.
Yeah. You often wonder who designed those cars back then, because they just weren't very. The Pacer, the AMC Eagle. I mean, I don't know who worked at AMC then that thought cars looked good, but man, they didn't.
Well, the Gremlin, you could say that was the original hatchback.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
The Pacer, oh my, that Pacer, that was one. We called
horrible.
It was ugly when it was brand new. I remember when they built those cars and they'd roll off they'd roll out of the showroom. I would think, man, that's an ugly car.
I worked with a guy at Coors that had a blue one. He called it the Smurf Mobile.
They're like a big fishbowl going down the road.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my input.
Awesome. Good stuff, Randy. Thanks very much for calling in. We'll take a quick break. We'll take more calls when we come back. Lines are open. 303-477-5600. I got a couple of email questions that we'll answer as soon as we come back. And you can do it that way. You can either call us, 303-477-5600, or send me an email, john@drive-radio.com. We'll get those questions answered just as soon as we come back. So don't go away. We're halfway through Drive Radio. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, here on KLZ 560.
Today's cars and trucks are very complicated and can be expensive to repair. At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we can help you to understand the complex nature of repairs. We specialize in computer repairs. Maybe you have tried another shop and you still have the same problem. Let our highly experienced technicians at Arvada West Auto help you. Call 303-422-1065 or stop by and see us at Arvada West Auto and Truck, 11752 West 64th Avenue in West Arvada, or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. 303-422-1065.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at ginosautoservice.com. That's ginosautoservice.com.
Your car is trying to tell you something. By the way you have difficulty getting into gear or into reverse. By the way it hesitates when you step on the gas. What your car is trying to tell you is that you need to go see Larry's Automotive and Transmission right away. Regular scheduled maintenance is the best way to avoid costly repairs or replacements, but if it comes to that, Larry's Automotive and Transmission has the experts you want working on your vehicle. They do all their work in-house using premium quality parts, and they use local vendors whenever possible. If a rebuild is necessary, Larry's ASC certified technicians will do it themselves rather than order and wait up to a week for a replacement to arrive.
arrive. Larry's Automotive and Transmission is a member of the Colorado Select family of Napa Auto Care Centers and ATRA, which means their repairs are covered under warranty all around the country. Due to construction in the area, please call Larry's at 303-427-2108 for directions and to schedule your appointment. 303-427-2108. When your car is telling you something, take it to Larry's Automotive and Transmission, the best service possible.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
All right, John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Gary is up next with us. We'll talk to him, and then I'll get a couple of questions answered via email. Gary, what's going on today?
Hey, John. I wanted to ask you a new Bradley station. I think they sell Sinclair gas. Is Sinclair gas on your good gas list?
It is now, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and then just one other question. It's a little bit offbeat, but you were talking about hot cars and how fast they were.
Yes.
So I'm guessing these fast cars, you take them out and drive over the speed limit. And I wanted to ask you, is driving over the speed limit a sin?
Well, if you're breaking the law, yeah, it would be. And the law says the speed limit is X, and I'm glad you just brought that up, Gary, because I'm a guy. In fact, there's a show on TV right now that I absolutely despise, and I can't remember the actual name of it. It's on Discovery Channel. I saw some promos, and I've watched a little bit of it. I think it's called Street Warriors or something. And basically, it's a bunch of guys down south that all go out at night and street race, and that is the dumbest, most ludicrous thing you could ever do. And why Discovery Channel promotes such illegal activity is beyond me, because I was taught as a kid that, in Terrence is saying because of the money, well, that's probably true, but I was taught as a kid, my dad raised me where if you're going to go out and drag race, you go to the drag strip. So I started racing out at Vandermeer's when I was in high school drags and did all that up until I started to have kids and had to sell my race cars and so on. But I will tell you that I can probably count on one hand how many actual drag races on the road when I was a kid I had, because I learned to go to Vandermeer right off the bat.
So there's probably a lot of people listening to this show right now that need to go to confession tomorrow.
That's probably true. That's probably true. You're exactly right.
All right. Good to hear you.
Hey, Gary. Good to hear from you. Sure appreciate you calling in. And yeah, it's kind of a funny thing Gary's saying. But yeah, if you're breaking the law, you're not supposed to speed. And drag racing, of course, we would on drive radio. I'll tell you this right now. We will never, ever, ever advocate drag racing on the road, period. It's not safe. You shouldn't do it. People get killed. Like I said, and Terrence is right. And the thing about that show that I'm talking about that I don't really understand is how much of that is staged. In other words, how much of it do they really have the roads blocked off, or is it totally just, and Terrence is going to talk because I don't know.
It's television. It's way staged. It's a controlled environment, but they want to give you that illusion to where it's way legal. No, yeah. There's no way you could do that type of stuff without the cops or someone calling.
You'd be surprised. And some of you that are out there listening, if you want to call in on this, feel free. I've never talked about this subject, but I had a guy that worked for me years ago. This has been 7-8 years ago, Terrence, that in Denver, and it probably still exists to this day, in Denver right now, there will be on any given night of the week in the summertime, and it varies because they do it to bounce around to make sure nobody catches them, a street race going on, and these guys pour tons of money into their cars, go out, find a road, drag race on it, and they move around all over town. And I know that because a guy that worked for me was involved in that. And I used to tell him, what in the world are you doing? Oh, it's the most fun you could ever have. I'm like, just don't call me the next morning when you're in jail, because I'm not bailing you out. So I know it exists. And how they get by with it, Terrence, I don't know, because I can tell you right now, there is underground street racing that goes on a regular basis, even here in the Denver metro area.
Oh, they get away with it because it's planned out. It's a secret event. You have to be in that circle to even know.
You got to be in the club, in the know.
Right, and then on top of all that, there's plenty of money to be made.
And they bet on the races and so on, and the pink slips, and you guys know the routine. So
do you know
you're
how
right.
much ego is involved in that?
A lot.
I built this engine. I build a better engine than you
But the
do.
dumb thing is, you can go to Bandemers on Friday, Saturdays, and do the same thing in a controlled environment and get a trophy at the end to really prove your success. And what I mean by controlled is they've got the strip. It's all controlled. It's got a burnout pit. It's got stage lights. Everything's controlled. Real timers. You know exactly who won, who lost. That, to me, means a whole lot more in winning a race than going out in street racing.
But with all that controlled environment that you have there that's safe, you take away that thrill that some people are looking for.
I guess.
I mean,
I guess you're probably right. It's that thrill of knowing you're doing something illegal and getting away with it, I guess. Steve, you're up next. What's going on?
Hey, guys. I agree with you 100%, by the way, on this street racing. I used to race when I was younger as well, both drags and sports cars.
Got it.
And anybody races on the street, when you race on a course, you're taking the risk yourself.
That's right.
When you race on the street, you're putting other people at
Well,
risk.
and Steve, I'm sure you can also agree with me on this. The other problem you've got when it's not controlled is when it's not controlled, there's really no winner because you don't know what the pavement on one side of the road versus the other is even like to even know who's got the advantage or the disadvantage. Where when you go out on the drag strip, there may be one lane that's slightly faster than the other and some things along those lines, and maybe there's some strategy on that side of the fence. But all in all, it's a pretty controlled environment where it's really you and the car. It's the driver and the car against another driver in the car. It's pretty controlled is what I'm getting at, which makes it more fair.
Well, absolutely. And you have emergency personnel who are waiting there that if something does go wrong, that they're going to be right there.
And on top of that, and you know this, you have to also pass tech. Your car has to be safe. You've got to have the right safety gear, helmet. If you go certain speeds, you got to have, you now have to have fireproof suits, gloves. That's what I talk about in making it as safe. Yeah. And to Terrence's point, and Steve, you know this, is it still a thrill to go drag racing and or road racing in a controlled environment? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Some of the most fun I ever had in my entire life was doing that stuff.
I used to love it, but I just can't afford it.
No, me neither. I've got, my biggest thing today is I don't know about you, Steve, but it's the time. I just don't have the time to invest in building a car, keeping it going out on Fridays and Saturdays. I mean, it becomes a life that I just don't have time for right now.
Absolutely. Which brings me to my problem that I'm hoping you guys can help me with.
Okay, we'll do our best.
It's a 1999 Ford Expedition, and every time we've actually had somebody come out, take a look at it, try and diagnose the problem. It's not throwing any codes or anything, but every time you dump it into reverse, it dies. Doesn't do it when you're dump it into drive,
okay,
but put it into reverse and it dies every time.
So when it dies, does it act like it is started for fuel or ignition, or does it act like maybe the transmission itself is locked up and it just forces the engine to die?
I can't tell. It definitely is dragging the RPMs down to where the engine dies.
I would wonder, and Dorsey knows where I'm heading with this. I wonder if the torque converter lockup is locking up only in reverse, and that may not set a code. Why it would only be in reverse, I have no idea. That part of it I don't understand. But what sounds like's happening is the torque converter is going into lockup mode in reverse. You put it in reverse, everything's locked up solid, drags the engine down, it dies.
Okay, bummer.
Now here's a way that I would check that. So is it pretty consistent in doing it now all the time?
Yeah, it didn't start out that way. It just started out. In fact, what would happen is this is my son's car. He would put it in reverse, it would die. He'd restart the car and it'd work fine.
I would bet you it's on. I think it's in the torque converter. If it were me,
it's electronic.
Yeah, if it were me, I think I'd put a torque converter solenoid. They call it a torque converter lockup solenoid. I think for the low cost of what that is, I mean, I think that's a part I would just change, immediately just to get it out of the way. Know that you've changed it. It's a 99. It's not going to hurt anything to change that part. It's not super expensive. Here's the other thing you could also try is instead of starting it in park for that first time, start it in neutral, then go to reverse and see what happens.
Okay, we'll do.
And see if that changes anything, then I think we're on the right track with this torque converter solenoid locking up.
Right. Yeah, so we're going to be busy today it's got a bent right rear axle shaft.
Oh, got it.
We're replacing that. But that's the next thing we'll jump into then.
And and on that one, and I'm sure you know about that. That's got the 8.8 in it, so it's got the C-clip axle. Make sure that the other side, since you're going to be in there, you might as well check both sides. I would go ahead and put both axle seals in it, and make sure that the bearing isn't wearing the axle down, so that you've got a future problem with the seal. So look at all that at the same time.
Yeah, we're replacing all of that.
Perfect.
So, and fortunately, like you said, these are not expensive fixes. So
no, they're not. Now, also, and you probably already know this, but if that axle does get worn, they make what Napa calls a repair bearing, where it changes where the bearing positions itself onto the axle, so you really don't have to put a new axle in it if it is grooved.
Yeah, we actually jacked it up, all 4 wheels off the ground, ran it, and we could see the wheel, bobbing.
Got it. Did he hit a curb or something with it?
Well, actually, we think it got rolled at one point. We bought this thing. My son does storm chasing.
Okay.
And so we bought it because, it was a big vehicle. You could get a lot of instrumentation in it.
Right.
And we weren't worried about hail damage.
Got it. That's a good idea. Perfect. It's a perfect vehicle for that.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, the fastest car that I drove in the 60s and 70s, the Porsche 917K at Road America.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my word. Yeah. You talk about the thrill of racing.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to our original topic, which is, if you really want to go out and race, do it in a controlled environment. Make sure you're safe. And even, we make it sound like that's not fun, but if you do it, to your point, Steve, it is extremely fun. It is a blast. Even though it's controlled, it's actually more fun because you can actually concentrate. This is my view. You can concentrate on racing, not who's going to catch me.
Right.
That's my view. You actually get more out of it because you're not worried about the environment as much as you are. In other words, when you're out in the regular world doing this stuff, you're worried about everything. When you go to a controlled environment, you're worried about racing only. That's it.
Sure. And the course does change during the course of the race.
Yes.
People spin out. They put rocks on the track or whatever. So it's but understanding how to control the vehicle under those conditions, is something that, one, you can take to the road.
That's right.
Experience.
That's exactly
make
right.
Yourself safer.
That's right. You're exactly right, Steve. Man, great call, great conversation, and really enjoyed it. Thanks for calling in, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take care. 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson. Lines are open. We've got about an hour and 15 minutes left. Call us with anything you've got. I didn't get our email questions answered, but I will. I promise. As soon as we come back, don't go away. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-a-line belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff. Napa Auto Parts.
Your wheel alignment can affect tire wear and fuel mileage that will cost you more for repairs and fuel. Arvada West uses state-of-the-art 3D imaging to align all 4 wheels of your vehicle. Be aware that irregular tire wear could also cause the need for additional alignment parts. Stop in or call us for our alignment special. Mention this ad and we'll inspect your vehicle and check your alignment starting at $69.95. Call Arvada West Auto at 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, along with Dorsey Johnson. All right, here is our first question via email. We've got others, but we're going to do this one first. So this is from James in Colorado Springs. So, James, if you're listening, I'll email this back also. But he's asking a question. Got 2009 Camry. It's his son's car in Florida. Took it to Toyota. Has an oil consumption problem. It's using about a quart. Basically, he's putting a quart in every week, about 1,000 miles, I guess is what it really comes down to. They did an oil consumption test. It failed. And basically, they're telling him it needs an engine. $4,000. The car's got 164,000 miles on it. He basically travels about 1,000 miles a week. He's planning to purchase a new Camry and then give the 2009 Camry to a 17-year-old niece for college. So here's his questions, Dorsey. Should we have more tests performed? Should we rebuild, or should we look at a rebuilt or a engine replacement? And number 3, should we just use the 2009 as a trade-in for the new for another different vehicle, for a new vehicle? What's your thoughts?
Well, in today's world, a lot of the new cars, a quarter thousand isn't that much. It wouldn't fail on some of the newer cars. They're down to a quarter every 800.
Right.
But, so I'd do one or two things. I'd either drive it till it drops or I'd trade it.
Yeah, I would either give that to the 17-year-old niece, making sure that she understands that she needs to check oil and put oil in. Oil is cheap. You can put oil in that car and drive that car for a very long time. Probably not have to worry about it. I don't think I'd do an engine, personally. I just don't think I would. I don't think I'd spend the money on it. And if it gets to the point to where it's not smoking, it'll still pass emissions, it does all the things it needs to do that way, then maybe option number 3 is not a bad option, which is just trade it off for another vehicle.
Yeah.
So there's your answer, James. I'll email you this back also, but if you're listening, there's kind of your answer right there in a nutshell. Let's go to, I think Rachel is up next. She's been holding the longest. Rachel, welcome to Drive Radio.
Well, actually, I haven't been holding very long, but thank you for the consideration.
No problem.
I'm kind of surprised at you fellows. It's not you necessarily, but your callers. Your question was, name a favorite muscle car from the 1960s
60s and
early
70s.
70s.
Right.
And no one has mentioned what I would consider 2 of the best, those being the 427 AC Cobra.
Yep, that's on the list, actually.
And the Grand Sport Corvette, who both in the hands of a skilled, competent racer could top over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all these people are talking about Barracudas and all this.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a muscle car. Even your 69 Z28 Camaro couldn't touch those.
And the Cobra is actually on the list that I think it was USA Today or something.
I think most of the guys couldn't afford those AC Cobras.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question.
Very true.
Very true. Is what is a muscle car? And,
Very true.
And the 2 domestic cars, and questionable whether the AC was domestic because
good point.
It was part Ford, part British.
Yeah,
right.
But
more British than Ford, probably.
Were the best.
No, and to your point, that the AC Cobra was probably a little more British than it was Ford, with the exception of the drivetrain itself.
Exactly.
And the 427 Ford Thunderbolt is in there too, and not too many guys could afford those either.
Right.
And the other question I had is: there any people in your network of shops that work for gold and silver and not fraudulent reserve notes?
I would think that the majority of our shops, if you went in with the right commodity, I know when I own my facilities, I would take just about anything as long as it paid my bills.
Okay.
And I think most of them would tell you Larry is shaking his head, and so is Dorsey. So I got 2 guys right here in studio right now that are shaking their heads saying, we do the same thing. You know what? I used to do the same thing. If somebody had something of value, right. I even did deals back in the day where somebody would, they had another car that was just sitting around that they just couldn't afford to keep anymore, but they needed the other car fixed up. So I would take a car on trade, put that towards the repair bill, take that other car, fix it up, sell it, get my money back, and off we went.
So if I come into one of your shops with an ounce of gold,
they would take it.
$1,300 right now in Federal Reserve note conversion.
Yep, they'd take that.
They would take it.
You betcha. That's an easy one.
The other question I have is, who in your network is the best when it comes to working on a Dodge Neon? And I'm talking about more. I'm not talking about oil changes. I can do those myself.
Got it.
I'm talking about having to put in a new clutch, I'm talking about having to put in a new flywheel, having to put in struts and all that kind of stuff.
You know, honestly, on that one, Rachel, any of them that's on our website could do that for you. Not a problem. Yeah, that's easy.
But just remember, AC Cobra and the Grand Sport Corvettes.
Yep. I can't argue with you on those. In fact, I would, if you could ever afford it, owning an AC today would be phenomenal. But,
I saw one on television on the auction, and they were auctioning one in pristine, beautiful condition, original like 64 AC Cobra, and it went for $500,000.
Yep. There's an auction, I believe, today going on in Texas where they're auctioning off a bunch of, older Ferrari sports cars, things like that. And I think they estimate that probably the top car will go around $8 million today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, if I was ever to have the money, would be a 1958 Corvette.
Oh, yes.
That, if I could get any car of the 50s and 60s, it would be a 58 Corvette.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Rachel, thanks so much for calling in. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, our guys will deal in, because they can take that particular commodity you're just talking about and go down and cash it in and use it to pay your bill. That's easy. That's not a problem at all. So those guys can definitely do that. That's not a problem at all. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. We'll get you right on air. We have one line open. Joe, you are next. What's going on, Joe?
Yes, I bought a 2005 Colorado, and it sounded like I'm going to need brakes. And the person I took it to look at it said they're going to take about 5 hours to do that. Are those the pads and I can do the pads, but
It should have pads and drums in the back, I believe,
yeah,
correct?
pads and drums in the back, but on the front they're rotors. Are
Correct.
those rotors tapped onto the hub itself?
No, those are a slip-on rotor.
Slip-ons.
I don't know why they would take 5 hours to do that job. That's not that big of a job.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's a half a day job, getting it in the shop, getting everything done, getting all the parts hung, getting it all done, tested. You're going to want to flush brake fluid and so on. So yeah, you're going to spend a half a day, but yeah, I guess if they're working a 10-hour day, it could be 5 hours. So it's a good half a day job. Yes.
Okay. And I was thinking those come right off the hub.
They do. They slip off. And if it's got any kind of miles at all, you don't even want to resurface those. You just want to put new rotors back on it.
That's what I was thinking about doing.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
On that car, with the age of it, you want to do rotors, hardware kits on the calipers, hardware kit back on the shoes, new shoes, and the drums are probably resurfaceable unless they're oversized, and you'll have to just measure those to find out.
Check the wheel cylinders, too. Make sure they don't seep.
And then flush the brake fluid since it's now 10 years old.
Okay, I'll be doing that then. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. That was a great question, by the way. 303-477-5600. That's our phone number. Richard, you're next. What's going on?
Hello.
Hello, Richard.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for calling.
I listened to you on your daily show, too.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that.
Anyway, I want to know if you know anything about a 99 Ford F-150 4.2 V6.
We do. What do you need to know about it?
Well, how durable is it?
The 4.2 is not my favorite engine choice in the F-150.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's a bad engine. It's just not my favorite engine because of our elevation. The power that it actually has, I think, is low for what we have at our or what we need at our elevation. It's not my preference of an engine that I would buy in an F-150.
Well, I picked up one here a while back. I got it sitting out in the front yard. The body's straight, everything's straight on it, and it has 75,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And so far, I haven't had a problem with it. It runs strong. It don't do too good on fuel, but other than that.
No, and that was the other problem with them and why I didn't really care much for them is you could actually buy the larger V8, the 5.7, and actually, or wait a minute, 99 would be a 5.4. You could actually buy the 5.4, get as good a mileage as you could with the smaller V8 and have more power. So at the end of the day, it was like, why would you buy this when you can buy the larger V8 and get better, get even better fuel economy with it than you will with the smaller V8?
Well, otherwise, I haven't had a problem with it.
No, like I say, I'm not ditching them. It's just not an engine. If I was going to go out and buy that truck new, I would not have bought it with that engine.
Well, I didn't buy it new, but anyway, it seems to do okay. I just thought I'd ask you to see because you know about vehicles.
And if you picked up, if you picked it up for the right price, that changes everything.
I did. I only paid $3 for it.
Well, you're fine at that point. Even myself today, personally, if you could pick it up for that price, would I buy it? Absolutely.
Well, thank you, John. That was all I wanted to know.
You're very welcome, Richard. Thank you so much for calling in, and thank you for being a faithful listener. We do appreciate it. If you're listening during the week, you're a faithful KLZ listener, and we appreciate that very much. 303-477-5600 is our number. We got one last call I think we'll squeeze in here before the top of the hour, and might be able to even get one more in if you call quickly enough. Again, our lines are open, 303-477-5600. Ray, you're up next. What's going on?
Hey, guys, I've got a 99 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3.
Okay.
And doesn't want to go into overdrive anymore. And I've been told that maybe that there's some type of overdrive pump in the transmission that needs to be replaced. But, you know, I haven't taken it in to get it checked out yet.
Okay. So when it tries to go to overdrive, what happens? Does it just nothing happens? It just goes to, third gear and it stops there?
It just stays there, yeah. I mean, you have it in third gear and...
Okay, let me ask you this question. When you're decelerating down a hill, so when you're descending a hill, for example, does it have engine braking with the transmission, or does it want to just kind of freewheel? Or can you tell, or have you noticed?
I can't tell.
Okay, I would do that test also, and what I'm getting at is go down descend down a hill.
Yeah.
Take your foot off the gas and see if the engine will actually hold back the vehicle as you're going down the hill. In other words, see if there's any engine braking in that third gear. That will also tell you whether you've got some other internal damage or not. I bet you it won't.
Okay, you think it'll hold?
I don't think it will.
Oh, you think it'll go into overdrive?
No, I think it's just going to freewheel because it's got a problem internally in the transmission. And if it does what I'm saying, you just need to have a transmission put in it.
Okay.
Not a pump, not anything else. Just have somebody go through it. You can call, actually Gino's over in Littleton. They'll call Larry's, get you all taken care of. Larry's is one of our, shops in our network that actually does transmission work. So just go over to Gino's. They can look at it for you, test it, and see what's going on.
Gino's. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate the phone call. And all right, so we've gone through 2 hours of Drive Radio. 1 hour coming up next. Give us a call, 303-477-5600. One of the email questions that I'll get to as soon as we come back is a brakes locked up question that's coming in from somebody. We'll get to that. I've got one other email question also on top of that. If you'd like to call us, do so at 303-477-5600, or you can send an email as we're on air, and I'll answer it on air. It's John, John, at drive-radio.com. You can also go to our website, check out all of our sponsors, everybody that's there, everybody that's in our network. We do have some new shops that we've added. And I tell you what, I'll tell you what those are as soon as we come back. We've got 2 new shops, one in Littleton, one in Aurora that we've just added. I'll talk about those just as soon as we come back here for hour number 3 of Drive Radio. So don't go away. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Larry Unger, and Terrence, our engineer. We'll be right back. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
I don't mind you coming here, wasting all my time. 'Cause when you're standing oh so near, I kinda lose my mind. It's not the perfume that you wear.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business. So Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran here. I'm back. I'm fine. But the support and concern from the growing KLZ family of listeners was simply astounding. So thank you. I'll finish getting well, and Monday we'll hit it hard, including an update with our friend from Tea Party Patriots, legislative super sleuth Bill Pasco. What will the weekend bring? There's no telling, but we'll dissect it with you Monday morning. Like us on Facebook at Wake Up with Randy Corcoran. Join us 5 to 8 a.m. on your best place to talk in the city, KLZ 560.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. Join me weekdays from noon to 1 for Haystack Help Radio. We'll help with consumer problems, give you quality business referrals, let you know about the latest scams, and we'll also give great help for seniors. Weekdays, noon to 1 for Haystack Help Radio. Check out our website, haystackhelpradio.com.
Freedom, liberty, truth. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at klz560radio.com. KLZ 560.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Kay Long. Another day of demonstrations in Baltimore. As many as 10,000 expected for the rally and march later this afternoon. Protesters calling this a victory rally. This after the 6 officers involved in Freddie Gray's arrest charged in his death. 35-year-old first-term state's attorney Marilyn Mosby announcing felony charges ranging from assault to second-degree murder, calling the arrest itself unjustified. But some calling the charges a rush to judgment. Judge Alex Ferrer is a former cop, lawyer, and Florida judge.
Based on what she read, I don't see any support for second-degree murder. And manslaughter, I believe, is a stretch in this case. Basically, what she laid out was you put him in the van in handcuffs, you didn't buckle him in, and when he called for help, you didn't give him help.
Judge Alex appearing on Fox and Friends. The arrested officers out on bond. Protests also expected across the country. Several Seattle police officers injured, a number of arrests, and a May Day march turning violent. Seattle Police Captain Chris Fowler releasing a statement saying the demonstration turns into a riot. Police saying anti-capitalist protesters damaging at least 24 vehicles and lighting garbage cans on fire. 2 of the injured officers taken to the hospital with serious injuries. A massive rescue of captured women and girls in Africa. The Blaze Radio's Chris Vermillion explains.
Nigeria's military conducting a rescue operation inside a forest that the country's president calls the last stronghold of the terrorist group Boko Haram. This particular mission is just one in a series that the military is using to pull nearly 700 women and young girls to safety, as the president says he will leave Nigeria completely free of terrorist strongholds as his term comes to an end. Chris Vermillion, The Blaze News.
Britain's Prince George has a brand new baby sister. The Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, giving birth just 2.5 hours after being admitted to St. Mary's Hospital in West London. No name yet for the new royal. This is news on the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 Denver.
Chris Cook, weeknights at 6 on KLZ 560.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She'll do a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower. 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is. Performance and image, that's what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
And it is Drive Radio, last hour. KLZ 560, John Rush, your host, along with Dorsey Johnson. And again, thanks to all the guys that filled in for me the last couple of weeks. Ray Seidel, Ken Rackley, 1 week, Dennis Brewster, Dorsey Johnson, who's with me today, and then Isaac Bouchard, filled in last week. So thanks to those guys for really helping out a lot. I do appreciate that very much. All right, as I told you before, we've got a couple of new members that have joined our Drive Radio family, Colorado Select Group. Keeter's Truck and Auto Repair up in Boulder. Talked about them earlier. 6379 Valmont Road. That's in Boulder. 303-442-2131. And then we've got a couple of Tilden Car Cares here in the Denver area that have actually joined our Drive Radio family. And first one is 606 Peoria Street, Aurora, Colorado, 80011. And the phone number there is 303-340-2901. They're owned by a gentleman by the name of Ed Beery. Ed's been on actually Rush to Reason show with me before. He's going to be a daily sponsor also. Ed's a great guy, good owner, just bought those shops about 1.5 years ago, and is a good operator. He really understands the business world, and and he'll understand the automotive world as he goes along also. He's got some great guys working for him that do, so I would encourage you to use both of these shops. The other one is Tilden Car Care on 4912 South Federal Boulevard. That's in Inglewood, Colorado, 80110. 303-797-7977. That one's pretty easy to remember. So 797977. Pretty good phone number. Not bad at all. I'll put both of those up on the website. They just became a member yesterday. I've been working together with them for quite some time, so I'll get them on the website here momentarily. But good guys, really understand it. We'll get some of their guys on Drive Radio here in the near future. Once we can get them scheduled in and get all that figured out, we'll get them on and let them actually talk firsthand. But, more members that we have, we're going to try to do more of that around town, find some of our areas where we need some more shops. If you know of a good shop that should be a part of what we do, we talked about this earlier during the first hour, by all means, have them give us a call. Or send me an email, john@drive-radio.com. All right, we've got an email question that I'm going to get to just as soon as I get this phone call taken care of. So, Marilyn and Andy, hang tight. I know you emailed me. They've got a 94 Subaru Impreza, hatchback, 200,000 miles, and the left driver's side wheel is locked up, Dorsey. So we'll talk about that just as soon as we get done with Bob here. So, Bob, welcome to Drive Radio.
Hi there. Got an 02 Saturn L, the 4-cylinder, and it was missing, so at idle speed, and so I changed plugs and cleared that up. However, the gas mileage just dropped. I was wondering if you had any ideas besides changing the air cleaner.
Air cleaner won't do anything for the mileage.
Oh, it won't do anything for mileage at all.
Okay.
How long was it running with a misfire?
Oh, probably 6 months, and it would come and go. It was not constant, not consistent. Some days you'd see it, some days you wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing you might want to do is take it in and have your oxygen sensor tested and looked at.
Okay.
Yeah, if it ran too rich too long, it could have got fouled up or something like that. And with the age of that, you just might be due for an O2 sensor anyway.
It's 13 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got about 55,000 miles on it.
Okay, so not a lot of miles, but to Dorsey's point, if it's gotten, fouled, plugged, carboned up, all sorts of things can happen with the misfire. It could be part of the problem. The air filter, just everybody listening understands, especially on fuel-injected vehicles, having a plugged air filter will do nothing for fuel economy if you replace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a misconception that even the news media continues to push, that changing your air filter will give you better fuel economy. Not always. In fact, it's only in rare cases that it actually does. You do like a K&N air filter where you're changing the flow, doing some things like that. That's a whole different ball game. Just replacing a dirty air filter will do nothing for the fuel economy.
Okay. Can I ask a second question?
Sure, of course, Bob. Go ahead.
Got a 09 Saturn Aura, and it's got about 35,000 miles on it. And from day one, it would, again, not consistently, but frequently you get in, it would come and go. You step on the gas, and for about half a second, nothing happened. And then it would lurch forward like you were stomping on the gas. And while the thing was still under warranty, I had the dealer reflash the computer.
Okay.
And it cleared it up for about 2 or 3 months. And then it slowly came back. And when I went back to the original dealer when it was new, and he said, yeah, we've had that problem on the 4-cylinder, but we don't know what it is. And it didn't matter which vehicle the 4-cylinder was in, it seemed to be a common problem. They didn't know what to do about it. Any ideas on that one?
Well, yeah, that reflash should have an explanation on it, exactly what calibration they were putting in and what the situation was they were trying to
fix.
Yeah, it's like that might be described as a stall on, or a hesitation on acceleration, something like that. And that usually leads you to, they're trying to fix by software something that's not working right with hard parts.
Okay.
And that might give you a clue into what
What hard part is
what
bad?
hard part
to
they're
go after.
trying to replace. And if you knew the calibration, if you had your work order, we could look that up and see exactly what that reflash is doing and see what's going on that side of the fence.
Right.
Okay.
Because the reflash actually did something for a while.
It fixed it for a while.
It's, it could be in that same area that they're trying to change the parameters of something.
Correct.
Okay. Do you guys at your shop, like in Arvada West or any of the other ones, ever deal with that sort of a problem? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one other thing you might try on your 03 Saturn is after you put the spark plugs in, you might want to bring it in and have the fuel trims and the memories and everything and the computer reset to 0 and start over. It may take that thing a long time
to relearn.
Yeah, it may be dumping extra fuel for a reason. It may need to relearn.
Okay.
And that's something else that, Dorsey at Arvada West, they can help you with that also.
Yeah, and that's kind of a quickie deal to do to reset the memories.
Okay. Okay, I'll give you a shot.
Okay. All right, Bob. Appreciate it very much. Dorsey, why don't you give me your phone number real quick?
It's 303-422-1065.
And you can find any of our member shops on drive-radio.com or just type in coloradoselect.com. Takes you all to the same page, and you can find them that way. It's real easy. Kevin is up next. Kevin, welcome to Drive Radio.
Hi. I've got a 99 Saturn.
Must be a Saturn day.
Must be, yep. It's the SL2 with the twin cam engine and an automatic. And the problem is I've got an intermittent, like rough or hard shift. It just bumps. Sometimes it'll shift really smooth, and other times it'll give like an abrupt shift from when the clutch engages inside there, clutches and bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I've changed the fluid and filter. Looks good. I haven't had any codes read. And I just thought I'd see if you guys had anything that came to mind, maybe encountered it before.
Well,
the car has high mileage car. It's got 257,000 on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you may have some wear definitely going on in the transmission. It wouldn't hurt to have it scanned and see if there's some slip codes or hard shift codes or converter lockup codes that are weird, over temperature codes, and go from there. Kind of see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Did the pan look good and clean when you changed the filter?
Oh, well, this has got that unique, it's got a spin-on filter up top.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
then
yeah.
it's got a drain plug at the bottom.
Yeah, so you really couldn't see anything inside. You just got the spin-on filter.
Right. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, so you don't have any clues as to what the actual fluid looked like unless you drained it off and let it settle and stuck a magnet in it or something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you could definitely have some wear going on in there, but it wouldn't hurt just to scan it and see if something shows up. A lot of transmission codes won't turn on a check engine light, so that'd be.
But they'll still be there.
To do. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks.
Kevin. Appreciate it very much. We got one line open: 303-477-5600. George and Arvada, I should say. Hang tight. We'll get to your 95 Power Stroke question in just a moment. Eric and Centennial, also your Jeep oil pressure question. Don't go away, guys. We'll be right back. Drive Radio, John Rush, KLZ 560.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at ginosautoservice.com. That's genosautoservice.com.
Arvada West Auto wants to help you get the best fuel mileage you can. Approximately 3.5 million gallons of gas a day are lost due to underinflated tires. There are many things we can do to help you boost your fuel mileage, and most of it comes down to basic maintenance. No one likes to spend money on unplanned repairs. Let Arvada West Auto and Truck do what they do best. Keep your vehicles running at peak performance. From tune-ups to wheel alignments, they've got you covered with a 3-year or 36,000-mile warranty on most cars. On the web, visit ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com or call 303-422-1065. Arvada West Auto and Truck, where every question is important. Located on West 64th Avenue between Ward Road and Sims.
We breathe dirty air every day, and believe it or not, the air you breathe inside your vehicle can be even more polluted than the air outside. Thankfully, many of the vehicles sold today are equipped with a cabin air filter to help keep the air inside your car clean. If you are driving a car with a dirty or clogged cabin air filter, not only are you breathing dirty air, but it also puts a strain on your car's HVAC system, decreasing its performance and longevity. K&N, the inventor of washable automotive air filters, has applied its decades of high-flow, washable air filter design to cabin air filters for cars and trucks. These robust filters clean and freshen the air coming into your car's interior and are electrostatically charged to hold dust and dirt. They feature a pleated filter media that helps capture most mold, mildew, fungus, spores, bacteria, germs, pollen, and other allergens, while still allowing a high volume of airflow. They are strengthened by a custom design frame for a great fit and years of use. Best of all, K&N cabin air filters are washable and clean up easy with the K&N Refresher Cabin Air Filter Cleaning Kit. They typically only need cleaning every 12 to 15,000 miles or once a year, but you can wash them more often if you'd like, and K&N backs them up with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. They come with easy-to-follow installation instructions so you can easily replace your old filter, usually in 5 to 10 minutes. Keep the air inside your car clean and fresh without continually burying and throwing away disposable filters. Find the K&N washable cabin air filter for your car or truck at knfilters.com. That's knfilters.com.
All right, John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Go right to the phones. George is up next. George, welcome. What's going on your Ford?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I shouldn't say Ford. A Power Stroke could be in something other than a Ford, but, I assume it's a Ford.
Yeah, it's a Ford with 200,000 miles on it.
All right.
Standard transmission, and the engine occasionally will just shut down for about a half a second and immediately continue on. It doesn't seem to make a difference whether it's under load, whether it's under coast, whether it's under acceleration, not necessarily a bump that causes something to disconnect. However, did notice one occasion the tach went to 0 at that time.
Okay.
What motor's in that?
It's the, 7.3 liter Power Stroke diesel.
Yeah, 95 would be a 7.3, the early.
It is a 95.
Yeah.
First thing I'd look at is the cam sensor. Yeah. That's a real commonly failure type item in those.
Very common.
I did suspect that. I bought another one and put it in. It didn't run at all, so I took it back, and I have a replacement, and I will attempt to put that back on. It's a simple matter to do that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And where'd you buy your cam sensor at?
Oh, probably O'Reilly's.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put that one on or not. I'm familiar with that brand of sensor, and we've had a bunch of those that people have put on, and they didn't start either.
Yeah, well, I was kind of surprised they put a brand new on, and it ran horribly.
Not a real high quality line of electronic parts they're selling there. I can't remember the name of their electronic line right off the top of my head, but we've seen a lot of trouble from injection control pressure sensors that they sell that you put them on, the vehicle won't start.
Yeah, and what we do on the fleet side of the fence, just as an FYI, we do all international or Ford stuff. And that's not to knock any of the aftermarket guys that are out there, O'Reilly, Napa, I'll go down the list. That's not to knock any of them. We just have found on the diesel side of the fence, using the OEM part works better.
Yeah.
And I think Dorsey does the same thing in his shop.
Yeah, and on the cam sensor, if you check with Ford for a while, they were selling them for like $25 or $30 because they're on a Goodwill program.
Right.
You had so much trouble with them.
Well, that's good, and I was on the right track. We'll replace it again, see what happens, and if it doesn't work right, I'll
let us know.
Go right to Ford.
All right,
I
let us
will.
know, George. Appreciate it very much. And you can actually, you're in Arvada, go see Arvada West, stop by, talk to Dorsey. He can help you out. And they're right at, let's see, Dorsey, make sure I say this right. You're on Ralston and not 64th. What's the address?
11752 West 64th Avenue.
So you're on 60. No, yeah, that's what I meant to say. You're on 64th, not Ralston. It's the same. Ralston and 64th are the same.
Yeah, we're just west of Sims.
You're cross. The biggest crossroad would be, Ward to the west, then Sims, and then what's these, Kipling?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, the next one is Kipling.
And they're on the south side of the road. So, all right, Eric is up next. We got lines open, 303-477-5600. Eric, what's going on with your Jeep?
I just had a comment on the guy calling about his Jeep with low oil pressure. Before he starts going to the oil pump and stuff, one thing, a lot of those can get clogged drain passages, and I would try just running half a quart extra oil in there and see if that does anything.
Okay.
Because that way, it's all getting stuck up in the valve cover, and running the extra half quart will tell if his oil drain passages are clogged or not. That way, it's not draining back to the pan quick enough.
Yeah, it would have to be, you'd have to have one so gummed up. I guess it's possible. I don't know that I've ever seen one that gummed up, but maybe it's possible.
Yeah, I had it happen to one, and that's the only reason I'm calling. And I ran a half a quart extra in it, and, it was on its last legs and had many miles on it.
Right.
It bought me plenty of time on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's worth looking at.
Well, then that'll, narrow it down rather than ripping the pan down and putting an oil pump in without knowing.
Good point. Good point. Well, and of course, if you drop the pan, you'll see a bunch of sludge. So at that point, you'd also know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good stuff, Eric.
Good, son.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate it. Line's open. 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. We got about a half an hour left to Drive Radio because we'll have a little update from Scott Watley on Sportsman's of Colorado before we finish out the show today. Find out what's going on there at 1 o'clock. So you're not going to want to go away right at 1 o'clock. You want to stay tuned to KLZ throughout the rest of the afternoon. Okay, so here's a question for you, Dorsey. 94 Subaru, hatchback, Impreza hatchback, 204,000 miles. Left driver's side wheel only locked up. Had it towed to the nearest shop, happened to be a Brakes Plus. They replaced the caliper, bled the brakes, did not see any obvious reasons for this. They said they cleaned the brakes, etc., shipped it. 27 days later, the exact same thing happened again. Brakes Plus did pay for the tow this time. They bled the brakes, reset them, but did not see anything wrong. So they have no idea what caused it. Drove it home, but very concerned that it might happen again. Any thoughts? This is from Andy in Aurora.
Well, they did what, a caliper and bled the brakes?
They replaced the caliper, bled the brakes.
So it's just one wheel, either left front or left rear.
Left driver's side, yeah, we don't know if it's left front or left rear exactly.
Probably the front because it's a caliper.
Yeah, in a 94, that's probably right.
Might have had
might have had drums at that point.
I'd probably next I'd be looking at the brake hoses for some pressure. Inside they collapse, and then you might have some pressure hanging up, and the rotor doesn't return until it sits for a long time and bleeds off.
I think I would look at, of course, if they did a caliper, hardware should have gotten changed. Hose, I doubt if it's anything proportioning valve and master cylinder. So the next step would be looking at a brake hose. And at 204,000 miles, I'd probably put hoses on it anyways.
I would too.
I would just put two front hoses on it. In fact, if I was doing it, I would have done both front calipers and hoses and done it that way.
I was going to say, normally you do two calipers,
right?
Because you want to have two calipers that are functioning the same.
You don't want a new one on one side and an old one on the other side.
Right.
And, unless you're, last leg, you're not going to do much with the car. You're getting ready to get rid of it. Yeah, if you're going to try to get by on the cheap, maybe. But if you're going to keep driving the car, which it sounds like they are, that's what I would want to do also. So, Andy, Marilyn, if you're listening, I think I would replace the other caliper, both front brake hoses, and then see what happens. And if you're in Aurora, we've got several shops in Aurora. Go check out our website, drive-radio.com. Tilden over there, Ken Rackley, either one of those guys can help you out. And, I would do that, again, I would do that just because I know those guys. I know what they're going to do, and I know they'll be very thorough. They'll check everything out, and I can't tell you what Brakes Plus is doing. Sorry, I just don't know. Not to knock Brakes Plus. I just don't know them. I don't know the guys there. I know my guys. I know who they are. I know what they do. It's a different situation. Larry and Dorsey are smiling and laughing at me, but it's the truth. I know them. I can verify what they're doing because I know them for, I've known these guys for, 18 years plus. So again, line open, 303-477-5600. Okay, one last email question. 87 Porsche, 911 Turbo. He can't find, this is from Bob in Castle Rock, can't find 205 55 ZR16s and a 245 45 ZR16 in a match set. Tire Rack says that all they can find is a match set VR speed for the front and a ZR for the rear. Do you think that's okay?
Probably depends on how fast he plans on going.
That was going to be my next question. Bob, how fast are you going to drive? If you're just looking to drive around, regular, summer car, driving it, having fun, if you're not going out to the racetrack, I'd say that option is fine. I wouldn't worry about it. If you're going to go out on the racetrack and drive the car as hard as you can, you're going to want to have the highest speed rating you can. In that case, you're going to have to look further for different tires. And Tire Rack's not the only one out there that sells tires, by the way.
Right.
There are other people that can actually help you with tires. So, Bob, I'll respond to you, via email also to make sure I get that answered properly. Tell you what, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Doug in Arvada, hang tight. You've got a question on your 08 F-150. We've got a couple of lines open. We've got a half an hour left of Drive Radio. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we won't try to impress you with a waiting room with a big screen TV and lattes. What we will do is give you good service and expert repair. We pride ourselves in being interested in you and your vehicle. We stand behind our work with the power of Napa Auto Care and a 3-year or 36,000-mile warranty. And if needed, we do have a customer waiting area. Come see us at Arvada West Auto for all your repair needs. We are located at 11752 West 64th Avenue in West Arvada, or call 303-422-1065 for an appointment.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-align belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff: Napa Auto Parts.
This is Red Merrill for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coating, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operated right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today, 720-340-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sportsman of Colorado and receive 10% off your custom-built weapon.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West is with me in studio. We got a half an hour left of Drive Radio, and it is clouding up outside. So hopefully it'll stay nice. I've actually got a birthday party to go to right after this, so I got to skedaddle as soon as I'm done and head out to a grandson's birthday party. Hopefully the weather will stay nice because I'm sure some of it will be outside. Get us through that and we'll be all right. So let's go to Doug in Arvada, who's up next. Doug, welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank
So
you,
I
Doug.
got a Ford F-150 2008. I had it scoped or analyzed, and they said it's the cam's retarded, camshaft retarded.
Okay.
Seems to be a pretty common problem with these Fords. They start shaking.
Yeah.
If it's under a heavy load. There's also, I was thinking of doing the first fix, which is that variable cam.
The phasers.
Timing, those two solenoids in there.
Right.
I was thinking about replacing those first because it's a lot cheaper than going into the whole cam thing. Have you had any experience with this at all?
The cam phasers are probably the problem, which means the solenoids probably are not going to fix it, and you're going to have to tear into it and do it right.
If I don't get it fixed, I just live with the shaking. What's the outcome? Just gets worse, or
it'll just get worse, and your performance will continue to go down. Fuel economy will drop. And as some of that starts to happen, I'm not going to say you're going to damage anything overnight, but the fuel management is going to try to compensate for that, and you could end up with some cat problems and some things like that on down the road if you're not careful.
You got anybody down in Littleton? I just happen to be in Arvada today.
Sure do. Yeah, we've got two shops now in Littleton. Go to our website, drive-radio.com. Check them out and go visit one of them. They can either one take care of that.
All right. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, Doug. Thank you very much for the phone call. All right. Line's open. 303-477-5600. We've got, again, just a little under half an hour left of Drive Radio. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. We've talked today about, you name it. Dorsey, one thing we didn't get much into, and we talked a lot about a lot of other subjects today, but we haven't really gotten into the getting the vehicle out and ready for spring.
Yeah.
And April was National Car Care Month. I had a full list of things to go through in April. I just didn't get a chance to do it because, no offense, I think they do April National Car Care Month on the wrong month. That's just my own opinion. It used to be October, and October was better for this. And I don't know what knucklehead decided to change it to April, but I think April's a dumb month. It's just me talking because I used to know when it was in, or we used to do a lot of car care fairs and stuff when it was in October, which made a lot of sense. Heading into winter, want to make sure everything's right. Winter, not that you don't need a good car in the summer months, but let's face it, you need good solid tires and all sorts of things that need to take place when it's really, really cold, snowy, and all of that outside. April is just an odd month to do your National Car Care Month. That's just me talking.
Probably a climate change person.
Probably.
It's not cold enough in the winter anymore, so let's move it for summer.
That's not me. So here's what was on the list. Now, some of this applies to some of the vehicles that you may get out, some of the hot rods, things like that. Some of this will not. Check all fluids. Check the belts and hoses. Check the battery, which we talked about a little earlier. Check the brake system, and that needs done annually. Have the linings checked, the rotors, the drums, all those things. In fact, most cars don't have linings anymore. Most everything is a rotor, pads now. Inspect the exhaust system. Again, that's another one on this list that most exhaust systems don't need checked. If they're not working properly, you're going to get a check engine light to come on. It's going to tell you that there's a problem there. I guess you could potentially have a muffler problem or things along those lines. But Dorsey, on vehicles that are on the road today, 12 years old and newer, how many mufflers do you put on anymore?
Not many. The catalytic converters reduced a lot of the strain on the muffler.
You just don't do as many as you used to.
Yeah.
And they've been made out of aluminized or stainless steel since then, and you just don't do as much exhaust work as you used to.
It seems like, though, in the last 2 or 3 years, we're starting to see an awful lot more of undercar rust.
Got it. Yeah, well, because our salt. We're using pure salt in Denver.
Yep. Some of our cars are just starting to look like salt belt,
exactly right.
iron belt cars.
Here's another one I don't agree with. Schedule a tune-up. There's no such thing as a tune-up anymore. So that's on this National Car Care list. Yeah. Schedule a tune-up. We don't tune cars up anymore. You do preventative maintenance on spark plugs, fuel filters, things like that. But there's no such thing as a tune-up.
And fuel filters are even going by the wayside.
They're in the tank in a lot of cars.
Returnless fuel systems.
Yep, exactly. So you just don't need those. Check the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning system. Okay, that one I would buy. Yeah, this time of year especially, you want to make sure that your AC is working properly, that the compressor's kicking in like it should.
We're turning on ACs on all test drives in any car that comes in, just to make sure.
Yep, and that's a good thing to do right now. Inspect the steering and suspension. Okay, yeah, that's another one I would buy. You want to make sure that your shocks are working, struts are working. The other day, Dorsey, I got to tell you this. I'm driving home one night after the show, and I'm going down I-70. The little short section I have to do between 225 and 270 there, and I'm next to I can't remember what kind of car it was, but I'm next to I think it was like a Toyota Camry or something along those lines, and it must have been about 10 years old. Just from looking at it, you could kind of tell. And this car needed shocks and struts all around, and if I hadn't been driving, I was going to do and I thought, man, this is when I need I need one of those dash cams, because if I could have recorded the suspension action of this car going down the road, it was hilarious. I mean, this car is literally just bobbing and weaving, just bobbing and weaving all the way down the road. And I'm thinking, you need shocks and struts like no tomorrow. And if you see a car going down the road like that, or if your car is one of those where it feels like you're riding one of the old boats, you need shocks and struts.
Like a boat in the ocean.
Yep. Your suspension needs to be crisp, solid. You want that. And here's why. You want the tire to make full contact with the road at all times. That bobbing and weaving doesn't allow that to happen, especially if you have to make an emergency brake, turn sharply, something like that. Good shocks and struts help in those areas. So, yeah, I would agree with that one on here. Tire checking, of course, you need to check tires. Uneven wear, tire pressures, check the tread.
Age, too.
Age, the spare. That's not on this list, by the way, but you want to check the spare.
If you got a minivan, it'll be in the middle of the van underneath where you can't
see it. Which means it may not have any air in it. Who knows? So, yeah, you want to check that. And along those lines, also check, this is something nobody ever checks. Is the jack there? Is the handle for the jack still there? Is the lug wrench in there?
Most people don't know where they're at.
No. And here's the other thing. If you've put on custom wheels, does the lug wrench fit the lug nuts?
Locking lug nut.
Is the key around? Those are all things you definitely want to check. Wipers and lighting. Yeah, those are kind of givens. I don't know that that needs to be anything done on an annual basis. You really ought to be checking windshield wipers and lighting all the time.
We do those every oil change for our customers.
Here's a tip on checking wipers. You can do this at home yourself. If you don't even have a spray bottle around, typically you're going to have some Windex or something similar. Go out, as long as it's not a hot day, go out, spray the windshield, turn the wipers on, see how they work. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. If they wipe really evenly and nice and there's no streaks, you're in good shape. If they're bouncing all over the window and there's streaks, and here's the other thing that happens on wipers that are really, really hard on them, and people don't think about this. When the windshield gets super pitted, it destroys your wipers.
Destroys them, yeah.
Just tears them up. That's where all the lines in the,
We've got a lot of pitted windshields out there. We see them every day when they come in.
Well, especially right now with all of the construction we've had on 36, 225, 25, every major road we've got around here has got some sort of construction on it. They're going to get pitted just from all of the different debris, dirt, and so on that's on the road. So, yeah, it becomes like sandpaper. So really what's happening is the wiper is running across sandpaper every time it wipes. So that's one where you need to there's really no way, Dorsey, that I know of. Maybe somebody out there can tell me, but I don't know of any way to get those pits out of the windshield to where the windshield is smooth anymore. You can buff it. You can try anything you want. It still doesn't make it smooth.
Oh.
I've tried it. It doesn't work. So only thing to do there is replace the windshield first, then replace both wipers.
Oh.
And depending upon your insurance, windshields may not cost you that much. Going back, speaking of insurance and windshields, Paul Leuenberger, American National Insurance, 303-619-9891. They have a program on their insurance where doing a windshield is inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't ding you on your rates if you put one in. A lot of them do. They don't.
They shouldn't be dinging you because you can see better when it's raining and you can see better when it's not.
Exactly. It actually is a safety item that you ought to be looking at anyways.
Right.
So, all right. So I want to put a quick plug in for Paul there. American National Insurance, 303-619-9891. All right. We got just another segment of the show left. We'll go to break here in just a few minutes. Give us a call. We'll get you right in. We've got time for, a few more calls. 303-477-56 303-477-5600. The top 10 muscle cars, somewhat slowed down. I never did get through the entire list, Dorsey, to even explain, what the top 10 on the particular list was. Maybe I should do that.
I had a 66 CUDA under glass with a 273. Does that qualify?
That would qualify.
And a 3-speed.
Yeah, and the one lady that we had call in, Rachel, I think her name was. I agree with her. Some of the answers we got, they were all good answers. But some of the really, really hot muscle cars of the 60s and 70s never got mentioned until she came along and then mentioned them. So
yeah, I think back to what I said. The guys are talking about what they saw the most or what they could afford. You didn't see a lot of AC
what they
Cobras
saw, what they could ride in, what a friend had, what a parent had, what they could own themselves. And that's what we become familiar with. Yeah, those cars were out there. Those are really, some really hot cars. But, even in my day, man, only the rich guys had an AC Cobra.
Right. You might see them at the strip or something.
I mean, even in, I first started driving in about 1980, I guess. Even in 19, that's when I got my license, I should say. I drove, around the car lot and dirt roads and stuff way before that. But, back in those days, you never saw an AC Cobra running around the streets. It didn't exist. Even at that time, they were museum cars.
Yeah.
They weren't that old, but they were museum cars in the late 70s.
Even the 289 Cobra was a rarity.
Exactly. So you just didn't see those cars, and even the early Corvettes. I mean, there were some around in those days, but even they at that time were already a collector's item. Yeah. Not very old, but they were 20 years old, but they were already a collector's item. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Today, think of a 20-year-old car. Is it a collector's item? Absolutely not. We don't, it's just not the same today as it was then. All right. Tell you what, let's take a quick break now. We'll get some calls rolling in. We'll come back. Maybe I'll finish out this list. If not, we'll think of something else to come up with. I've got more things on my notes today that we didn't get to. So believe me, we got plenty to talk about. We can email us also, john@drive-radio.com. And real quick before we go to break, I did get an answer back from Marilyn and Andy on their Subaru brake lockup. It says, thank you for the advice. They did replace both front calipers. It was the driver's side front wheel that locked up. So who would we recommend to actually change the hoses? Well, Andy and Marilyn, go to our website, drive-radio.com. Find somebody in your area that's right on our sponsor page. Just go right there, look it up, find somebody close to you. And in Aurora, we've got a couple of shops. They'll handle those brake hoses. And I would suggest, back to Dorsey's point, since you've done both calipers, do both hoses now. That's not an expensive fix.
Yeah, outside they may look okay too. You just can't see the inside.
And at that mileage, they need done anyways.
Yeah.
So it's preventative maintenance just to do it at 204,000 miles. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back, finish out this last segment of Drive Radio. John Rush, Dorsey Johnson, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle, regardless of make or model.
When you said get the spray bottle, I all sat back like you were about to say some cool, elaborate trick, and then you were like, just spray the window and turn the windshield wipers on. I'm like, oh, man, come on.
Maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
We've all been there. You run to the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right parts store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Men, when your wife has car trouble, you're the one she turns to. Since you're smart enough to know that you know nothing about car repair, you go to coloradoselect.org and find a nearby independent ASE certified master technician. You didn't know that Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair, but you do now, which makes you even smarter. Now her car runs like new, and you're the genius because you fixed it. Find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org.
When we were kids, we'd send away for stuff. A couple of box tops and $3. 8 weeks later, you'd get a cheap fire truck in the mail. X-ray glasses, decoder rings, tiny seahorses. It was always a disappointment. Now that you're an adult, do you really think it's a good idea to send away for a rebuilt transmission? No. Larry's Automotive and Transmission is a much smarter choice. The ASC certified technicians will rebuild your transmission, work in-house using premium quality parts and local vendors whenever possible. You shouldn't have to wait weeks for a rebuild to arrive when Larry's can do it locally at a better price and a much quicker turnaround time. Larry's Automotive and Transmission is a member of the Colorado Select family of Napa Auto Care Centers and ATRA, which means their transmission repairs are covered under warranty all around the country. Due to construction in the area, please call Larry's at 303-427-2108 for directions and to schedule your appointment. 303-427-2108. Larry's Automotive and Transmission, the best service possible.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, Dorsey Johnson. Last segment of Drive Radio today. Appreciate everybody that's called in, joined in, talked to us, sent us emails, which, by the way, you can keep doing. And you don't have to wait for a Saturday to actually get your questions answered. You can call any one of our shops, go right to drive-radio.com, find them there, piece of cake, or send us an email. Just go to our website, drive-radio.com. We can answer the questions there. Or call anyone, You can wait until Saturdays and call us now. 303-477-5600 is our number. Call us. We've got time for 3 or 4 more calls, so call us. We'll get you in. Not a problem at all. 303-477-5600. And as I say it all the time, there is no dumb question. If you don't know the answer, it's a great question. Could be something that's really technical, or it could be something as simple as, hey, where should I go fill up my car? We answer those questions all the time when it comes to, gasoline, where to fill up, top-tier stations, all of that, which let me mention real quick. We had one to call on that earlier, and something I don't mention enough. Here's the new stations in Colorado that are top-tier rated. Conoco, Costco, Diamond Shamrock, Phillips 66, Shell, Sinclair, Suncor, and Valero, which pretty much covers everything except the convenience stores and grocery stores.
Right.
That's really what you could really look at it and say, okay, as long as I don't fill up at the grocery store or the convenience store, I'm probably okay. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, a lot of refiners have stepped up to the pump, But there's a lot more vehicles out. A lot of the newer vehicles are coming out recommending premium and mid-grade.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, all right, we finished out the list. Dorsey and I watched the rest of the little video. So here's the cars that didn't get mentioned that were in the video for the top 10. The majority of them got mentioned. What was interesting is there wasn't any Corvettes. So back to Rachel's comments, there weren't any Corvettes in this particular list. The GT 350 Ford Mustang and the GT 500, the Eleanor car, both of those were on the list, which I guess rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
The Charger, of course, we talked about that. The GTO Goat, 1967 GTO Goat, that was on the list that nobody mentioned. In fact, nobody mentioned a Goat or a Judge, which I thought was interesting. And this is not my favorite car. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but it's just not a car I ever got into. The Ford Pantera.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Which is just a car I never really got into. So here's some other cars that didn't make the list that I think should have. And I'm kind of a Buick guy from the old days and actually have a 68 Buick GS right now. The GSs didn't make the list, and I don't know why. And in fact, the GSXs, which were really, really fast cars back in the day.
Here's a 401.
Mine's a 400.
So you got the big valves.
Yeah. 68 400. And actually, my car today that I own was the same car I owned when I was in high school. Kind of an amazing story there. I was actually able to buy it back from the guy that I sold it to when I started having kids and we needed to move and I needed more down payment money and all that.
You paid more for it than you did the first time.
I paid more for it than, yeah, I did. But here's what's interesting. I looked at, okay, if I would have actually had to have stored the car, paid insurance, license plates, insurance and maintenance and all the things, and he painted the car while he had it versus, before I sold it.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't painted the car.
He probably did some maintenance.
He did some maintenance. I actually don't think I could have. I think it would have cost me more to have owned it these past 20-some years, 22 years roughly, how long it was in between, me owning it and he owning it and me owning it again. So that 22-year gap, I did the math. I don't think I could have kept it myself any cheaper.
Probably not.
Especially with the paint job.
But you could have drove around once in a while looking cool.
I could have. That is a good point. I would have owned the car instead of somebody else. And it's, the risk you have there is you don't always get a chance to buy a car back that you've sold at one point in time that you used to own.
Did yours have air conditioning?
Mine's got AC.
Cool.
Mine's an AC car, bench seat, 400, automatic, on the column automatic. It didn't have the bucket seats and the console and all of that. That's just not how it was made. Car originally had the vinyl top, which was taken off. Even back when I had the car, we took the vinyl top off and painted it because they had such rust problems when they had the vinyl tops, which that's another interesting thing is how many of you out there today remember vinyl tops? My kids don't.
I do.
I do. A lot of cars had vinyl tops. In fact, some cars, even those Cadillacs, Dorsey, some cars had the vinyl top that made it look like a convertible. You remember those? Where it had the really thick, padded
vinyl top.
Have you ever seen a vinyl top installed?
Yes.
It's an interesting undertaking.
I had a Monte Carlo that the top was getting bad on, and I had a guy put it on, and I watched him do some of the work.
Very interesting. If you've never seen a vinyl top get installed, it's an interesting process.
Yeah.
And guys either do it right or don't do it right.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys actually sew and put a vinyl top, they basically just take the vinyl and sew it all together and put it on a car.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be an artist to actually do that.
Yeah.
I think anyway. So, all right, we'll take some more calls. 303-477-5600. Lines are open. Give us a call. We love to chat. Anything at all you want to talk about. So real quick, one thing I did want to talk about since Dorsey's here today. I shouldn't say gas because they will go up, but we saw oil prices this past week. It's the highest they've been in several months. $59 a barrel, right?
Right.
You think it's going to stay there or come back down?
I think from what I read I read a lot from Penn Energy, and they're pretty on the ball with it. I think we're going to see maybe $70 to $75. I think it'll probably hang around there and maybe move between 65 and 70 for a while.
And here's the
next few years, 4 to 5 years.
And here's the plus side. If you're right, Dorsey, here's the plus side to that. At 65 to 70, we still have a pretty decent rate at the pump.
Right.
It'll be in the high twos, mid twos to high twos. We can still survive on that here. But there's enough money there for the R&D to keep happening here in the U.S.
Exactly.
Which actually then on down the road helps all of us because the more R&D and the more exploration, the more oil we can pump here. And we end up now being a exporter of oil instead of an importer, and we actually do better that way.
All right.
That's the best thing. All right, let's take a phone call. Let's go to Danny, who's in North Glen. Danny, you're up next. What's going on?
All right, I've got a 2004 Tahoe. It's got 250,000 miles on it.
Okay.
I've developed a little slow head gasket leak. And I was looking around. I just don't want to replace the head or new engine or any of that stuff, and I'm bound and determined to drive it a little bit longer.
And you're for sure. Is it leaking internally in the engine on the head gasket or externally?
Well, I don't see evidence of it externally, but I can smell it as I walk around the car. It's on the passenger side head.
Are you sure the intake manifold's not leaking?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's a real common problem on those, is to have an intake manifold leak.
Yeah, we do a lot of those.
Very, very common. It's not common to have a head gasket leak.
Oh, really?
No, it's very uncommon to have a head gasket leak. That's a particular engine that unless somebody's overheated it or done something, punishable to the engine, typically you're not going to do a head gasket.
No, in the last, I know, at least 100,000 miles, it's been treated pretty well.
It's probably, and here's the other question: how often has the coolant been serviced on it?
That I don't know. It's been a while.
Okay, if that's the case, it's probably an intake.
Probably an intake.
Yep, that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I'd have it pressure tested and let them get it up in the air where they can look over the back of the motor and see what's going on.
If you're in North Glen, go see Larry over at, Larry and Jeff over at Larry's Automotive in Westminster. They're over at 72nd and Brandbert. He's actually who answered the phone. Go by there, check it out, visit them and have them check it out. And I would be, I don't want to bet on it, but if I was a betting man, I'd bet on the fact you don't have a head gasket leak.
I would too.
All right, very good. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Danny. Thanks so much for calling. We appreciate it. All right.
Some of those, we've even had the thermostat leak run down the valley and off the back of the motor.
and then it runs down, gets hot. You have the smell, and there you go.
There you go.
Makes total sense. All right, Scott Watley just walked in. We've got Sportsman's of Colorado coming up here in about 5 minutes or so. So, Scott, what is in store for today?
John,
and by the way, I haven't seen you for a couple weeks, so it's good to see you.
Great to see you. Great to see you as well. Now, we got a great show lined up today. We've got a gentleman going to call us from Minnesota, and I just found this story. Minnesota. And just found this story last week and called the guy, but very quickly, stay tuned for this story. This guy, I want to make it real brief, shoots an elk in Minnesota.
Okay.
He's so excited, him and his brother there. He leaves his brother with the elk. He leaves, gets his vehicle to come back and get the elk.
Got it.
There's a warden and a TV camera guy standing there when he gets back.
Okay.
They're filming the TV show Wardens, and they're saying, why didn't you tag your elk? Now, he had filled the tag out, but he hadn't put it on the elk. Hadn't started transporting it yet. Hadn't even gutted it yet.
Hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
It's just down.
They confiscated his elk.
Oh, you're kidding
Because
me.
on the tag, it says to tag your game immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know.
He ran into a
If what
warden.
the guy's
that
telling
was
me is true, and I
hardcore.
told him this. Then he sends me a deal. The guy's a Marine. He runs a charter fishing service in Minnesota. So he's no dummy. The outdoors.
Right. He gets it.
I don't know. That just sounds like so then a senator in Montana finds out the deal, passes a law now. You have to tag it before you transport it.
Not when it's immediately shot.
But now they're not doing anything good for
here,
him.
in defense of this guy, I've hunted many years, haven't done it for a number of years, but for many years, grew up hunting, fishing, all that stuff. And, there were many times, and Dorsey, both you guys, Dorsey and Scott, you can relate to this. There's many times where you would, get your elk, get your deer, whatever, shoot, it's shot, it's, however you've bagged it, shot it with a bow and arrow or musket or a rifle or whatever, it's down. And I don't know about all the rest of you guys, but, we always would then start cleaning the animal, quartering it out, get things ready to go. And then after everything's done, all the blood and guts and all the stuff is gone and out of the way, then you put the tag on it.
Yeah.
At least that's how we always.
No,
the tag was always with you.
We put it in the truck and then tagged it, So, so that's interesting.
Even us that were out in the field, because a lot of our stuff we did on horseback and so on. And even then, we wouldn't tag it until you actually got ready to load it onto the horse.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the transporting thing. So I would agree with the guy back in Montana that I'd want to see that change.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cheesy if you ask me.
Right. And so we got an attorney going to talk about some game law violations. Then there's going to be a snake avoidance clinic May 30th and 31st
I don't like
at
snakes.
both Cabela's. I hate snake.
I heard
some people go,
about
there's
that.
good snakes. Yeah, dead one.
Not. Yeah,
a dead one is
That's
a good snake. So there's going to be. So we got a gentleman we talking about that, and then a guy. And go to our Facebook page, our website. You'll see a video I just put up. This is a great portable gun rack, less than $100 that you can take. Throw it in the back of your truck when you get out to hunt or come back from bird hunting, whatever. You flip this thing out a lot safer.
Awesome.
To store your guns. So anyway, great show and great to see you. And
well, appreciate it. And to end out the show, another new sponsor that joined us just this month, Phoenix Weaponry. So they're one of your sponsors also, Scott. Right. Aaron also joined us here on Drive Radio. So those guys, those of you out there that want a really good, not even a custom rifle, he's got some off-the-shelf AR-15s. Go check them out, phoenixweaponry.com. I'll put that link up on our website over the weekend. I got to do some website work this weekend, so I'll get all that done. Go check them out, though. What's their phone number? You've got it handy by chance?
Oh, my goodness. Let's see. You're
on the clock. You're on the clock. No.
I do have it here.
I should have it also, too. Hang on. I probably got it real quick.
Aaron.
We'll find it. Don't worry. We got time, Scott.
Here we go. 303. Tell you what, I'm going to give you Aaron's cell phone.
There we go. Do that.
303-532-6136. Tell him you heard about him on Drive Radio, and he will get you fixed up.
He will. It's a great shop. I went up there last week. They're a machine shop that specializes in building guns. It's a great shop. Aaron does a fantastic job, so go check him out. All right, with that, Drive Radio is done. Dorsey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Charlie was our engineer for part of it, Terrence for part of it, and then Larry Unger was there the whole time as our producer. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, and I'll see you Monday on Rush to Reason at 3 p.m. God bless you. Have a great week.